Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Starbase Weekly. This is episode 80. My name is Mauricio, and I'll go ahead and pass this along to Indian Star.
Hi, everybody. I'm back. I'm excited to be here. We have amazing photos, flyover photos, ground photos. Mauricio always outdoes himself each and every time. I will go ahead and pass it over to Dave.
And hello, everybody. Yes, we have a huge amount of amazing photos this week. SpaceX is definitely on a push to flight test number 2, and things are changing rapidly all over Starbase. And I will pass it off to Jake.
Hey everyone, hope you're having a good Friday. And it's a joy to be back. Yeah, again, commenting on this week's photos. And yeah, there's been quite a lot going on in Starbase this week. And Mauricio's got pretty amazing photos of all of this stuff. So we hope you enjoy. And with that, I'll pass it on to Zach.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is Zach Golden. Welcome to Starbase Weekly. And Jake, I don't know, you do sound a little bit far away, but I don't know if that was just on my side. Yeah, we have an exciting show for you all. I think we're finally reaching the point where we can say that the launch mount is like getting to that final stage of repair work before they can start testing again. So exciting times ahead as always. And lots of big news to talk about this week. So I think we are going to maybe start off with something that we don't normally talk about, and that is the actual FAA investigation or lawsuit, I guess you can call it, that's going on currently. So yeah, we yesterday was the deadline for the FAA to submit their comments or their reply back to the lawsuit, right? And I guess in typical fashion, there wasn't a lot of true answers in the actual reply. So I don't know if I can maybe pull this up here a little bit. I actually have both SpaceX's response and the FAA's response here. And, I usually don't like to talk about three-letter agencies, but I think we should do this today because it is kind of pertinent. I'm not going to go through line by line, but kind of just we'll give you guys the gist of everything. But in the original complaint document, and I don't know how to open this up the right way. Let's see. Can I full screen this? What is
Yeah,
that?
this is a fun document to read if you like reading the same thing again and again for God knows how many pages.
I don't know how to full screen this.
I think you have to
Yeah.
download it and then open it.
That's exactly what I don't want to do.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say my comment was this is a very typical legal response. We accept, we define what we accept as the facts, and we deny everything else, repeated about 24 pages long.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of what I saw in here, it seemed like for the actual lawsuit portion of it, it was pretty vague, and so because of that, I think a lot of the responses were vague as well too. Like I guess we'll just use this one as an example. The Super Heavy is the world's most powerful rocket. It holds up to 3,700 metric tons of liquid methane for propulsion, a potent greenhouse gas that will need to be vented into the atmosphere by SpaceX. The launching of these rockets results in intense heat, noise, and light that adversely affects surrounding habitat areas and communities, which include designated critical habitat for federally protected species as well as wildlife, national refuge, and state park lands. And so for me, like if I read that as whether I was the FAA or SpaceX, I just don't even know how you respond to that.
Well, actually, you can go to their response and read it. It's actually, that one's a really good one to read because it said, yes, it is 3,000 pounds. That's all we accept.
Defendants admit that Starship Super Heavy holds up to 3,700 tons of liquid methane for propulsion. Wait, 3,700 tons of liquid methane? That ain't right. Okay, so defendants lack information sufficient to form a belief as to the truth of the remainder of the allegations in this paragraph, and therefore deny those allegations. So these statements are repeated throughout this. Deny the allegations and defendants lack sufficient information, essentially. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. When I first read this, I kind of thought that this is like the beginning of a long, drawn-out process. But I don't know, Dave. You were kind of saying that this kind of response.
I've read lots of these from other lawsuits in the past. This is super typical. The really important thing is go to the last page and see what they want as their ask, because this is the important part.
On the original document or
the
response?
The prayer, on the prayer.
This one,
right there. No, what you had?
Okay, sorry.
The very last paragraph. What does it say?
For the foregoing reasons, defendants request that the court dismiss the complaint in its entirety, render judgment for defendants against the plaintiffs, and grant defendants such other and further relief that the nature of the case and justice requires.
Yep, and basically SpaceX's prayer is almost identical. I mean, you got to understand that in a legal pleading like this, the whole structure of this document, the verbiage, everything they say, this is all boilerplate. This is what every lawyer cuts and pastes for every lawsuit. So the really important part is down here. The defense and the prayer is the basic two things. Actually, the denial, the defense, and the prayer. The plaintiff's complaint is not specifically admitted, denied, or otherwise answered as denied. They lack standing. They fail to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, and they fail to exhaust all the administrative remedies before filing a lawsuit. Therefore, dismiss this whole thing. Thank you very much.
But you said that they haven't quite dismissed it yet, right?
Well, remember, this is just an answer. Now this goes to the judge. He looks at it, probably schedules a hearing. I mean, this is just a step in the legal process. It's a dance that every lawyer plays. This is just part of the dance.
Right. Yeah. I guess my question is how long the rest of this process will take, because it's been just over 2 months for us to reach this point, and this is basically the first step.
Well, it really doesn't matter, because unless the plaintiffs ask for a preliminary injunction, status quo will move forward with operations and licensure and everything else as would be normal.
Did
This
Dave
is a
Wait, so
distraction at most.
Did Dave Potato a little bit?
just a little bit. And I guess I have a question which will kind of get you to repeat that a little bit. So,
Thank you.
what would stop SpaceX from essentially being able to continue operations? Because I know a lot of lawsuits like this, typically the defendant is able to continue their actions until the lawsuit is settled. A lot of times, it doesn't just stop their operations. So, what would have to be? Go ahead.
Unless the plaintiffs, the people that are suing, file for and get the court to issue an injunction stopping the defendants from doing whatever they're doing, the court case continues on its own and has no effect on day-to-day operations whatsoever.
Well, that will be interesting to see how this plays out.
And the problem is, if you file for an injunction, especially if you file, if you file for an immediate injunction, in other words, saying that the defendants are so egregious that the risk is so high at what they're doing that we need to stop it immediately, then to do that, you have to show that you have the probability of succeeding in your lawsuit. And that's, of course, a pretty high threshold to get over.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to just basically touch on this, and I don't know if we need to get too deep into it, because there's really not a whole lot that we can talk about from here until these next steps are take place. But at least we have an idea of where they are in this process right now. But with that, if anybody has questions on that from the chat later, we will address those. But I will go ahead and continue on to the Massey site, which is where we normally start the show off.
And while you're saying that, for everybody in YouTube and watching this, remember that exclamation question is how you can post a question, so our bot can find it and we can see that you asked a question. And with that, let's go to Massey's.
Cool. So we have some nice updates at Massey's. It looks like they are moving pretty quickly with several different things here. So I guess we'll start furthest up, which is the booster staging or booster cryo station. We've been kind of keeping an eye on this over the last few weeks to see where they are with that. And it looks like they have run most of the pipe work over to that actual cryo station. And you can actually see the flex hoses up here. And I don't know if I can get closer. You can see the flex hoses up near the walking platform.
Yeah,
But it seems like they're just sitting on top of there, right? I don't think there's any actual QD here. I'm pretty sure it'd be really large.
Yeah, I had a bit of a look last night to see if I could find the plate itself, and I can't see it anywhere yet. I'm sure it'd be hidden under some tent or something nearby.
Yeah, and this will be the first time we've seen a plate like that doesn't that's not on the actual launch mount, right? Because there's another cryo station, but it doesn't have an actual QD. So I am actually wondering on this one if they will truly have a QD, or if they may just get up here and connect the hoses every time.
I'd like to think there'll be an actual plate. I mean, they've got one there for the ship cryo station. So yeah, I'd find it odd if there wasn't a plate for the booster cryo station as well.
Yeah, very good point. And I mean, I haven't actually searched for it yet, but I feel like we would see it because it'd be super shiny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things that would probably come from. Well, actually, I'm not sure about that. I was going to say it would likely come from McGregor, because a lot of that GSE stuff in that regard happens at McGregor. like for specifically the QDs for the Raptor engines. So anytime they need to change anything out with those QDs for the Raptor engines, they send the engines back to McGregor. It's been a very long time since they've done that. But yeah, I would kind of expect it to be delivered here soon. But moving on, and still related to that cryo station, this is the I don't even know what we want to call this. So this was originally two separate plates that were stacked on top of each other, and there was some void space in the middle. And it looked like there was mounting points for 13 of the center engines for the booster. And now they have filled all of that in with concrete. So that's really interesting. It's kind of reminiscent of the inside of the can crusher.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's quite similar to how they did that.
Yeah, so the base inside of the can crusher is a concrete pad. I think they had a bunch of embeds in the actual concrete as well too, so they could attach the hydraulic pistons. And so I think this is kind of similar to that. And on that note, we do have some hydraulic pistons waiting up here. Hold on.
Those
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Those are the can crusher pistons. They were removed.
Yeah.
But if you look down scroll down a little bit. Somewhere I thought we had the pistons laying on the ground on pallets. Jack's pointed them out. Yeah, there they are. By the that's the other set. That's the ones by the cage. There's a new set of pistons by the cage there.
Yeah, those will be for the actual cage. The other pistons are up in the top right of Massey's.
Am I missing something? I don't see them.
They're right behind the stand.
Laying behind the puck checking stand there on the ground are pallets of pistons.
Yeah, those looked a little different, and they're kind of dirty, so I didn't notice them. Okay. So, I mean, these look different than the other ones, though. I think these came off of the nose cone jail, right?
No, so Jack's had a theory about this, that they're going to actually connect these new pistons to the 12 eyelets on the stand for the cage, and then they're going to use those pistons to pull down on the payload bay test article when that's mounted on this stand.
Okay.
And we will talk about when we get to high bay, because it's gotten work done on it in high bay in the last day or two.
Yeah, time to shatter a few theories, I guess. We'll get to that one when it comes. But on that note, we have, as you guys can tell, they're currently altering the nose cone jail and putting it back in its original configuration. Maybe not original configuration, but original height, I guess.
Nope. If you look there, they just added like 10-foot high extensions to the top of that. So this is the old lower section of the cage, which has now got the top of the cage mounted on 10-foot extensions on top of it. So we're making a nose coneless jail for a payload section only, as best as we can tell.
So this more than likely won't be connected to the upper portion.
Won't have anything to do with it.
We're tinker toying parts together to make yet another test fixture.
I will say SpaceX are professionals at doing that. So I guess we'll touch on this again in a bit, because we're going to discuss that test article once we reach the build site, as Dave mentioned. But moving on, I guess, over here to the can crusher. So having those pistons pulled off, I wonder if they are putting this into another new configuration. It's tough to tell what's going on here. I haven't actually compared it.
It's interesting, though, because it's 9 of the outer 20 pistons that they've taken out.
And what is in the center exactly?
Something that's hidden from us by this tarp.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tarp. Okay. That's what I was curious. I wasn't sure if it was a mound of rock or something.
Well, and the other thing that's in the center is it's got the ship mounting ring, adapter ring, sitting on top of the booster mounts there, so it's in a weird state.
Yeah, and that ring was added after 26.1 was taken off the Can Crusher. So they're preparing for the next test article.
I'm very curious to know what the flat thing is at the top of that tarp. But I guess we'll know when we know.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, tough to tell. I kind of miss the days where Mauricio was able to get over here with the drone. Although I will say the pictures tend to be higher quality from 10,000 feet with his Sony camera, but still kind of nice to be able to get that closer view sometimes.
10,500 feet.
Yeah, thank you for the correction.
Never forget that magic 500.
It keeps us safe, right? So that he can continue to do what he does without fear of anything.
Agreed. So moving on, I think it looks like we have. This is actually interesting to me, and I guess it should have been a no-brainer, but it almost looked like these tanks were already set up before, or that they were going to be set up on the backside. But I mean, all of the connections are on this side, so it looks like it'll actually be on this side. So these aren't actually active yet, but they do appear to be in the process of preparing to actually set up this part of the tank farm.
Yeah, there's a lot of the piping for them laying there on the ground next to the trailer that's going to get multiples of threes of things. Look very suspicious there.
Yeah, and it'll probably look identical to what we see over here. Oh wow, I never noticed that they had prime-up blinds in here.
Yeah, they've been quite a while.
Yeah, sometimes I don't look that close into some of the stuff happening at Massey's. There's too much going on everywhere else. But other than that, the site is getting, I would say, a little bit more cleared up from what we've seen it in the last few weeks. A lot of the prefab area over here is kind of cleaned out. They, as you all know, finished the road down here a few weeks ago, and then they've got the completed pad back here. So now we have a full driveway getting all the way back to the booster cryo station. And again, I think it'll probably be just a few weeks before we see Booster 10 roll down to Massey's. I don't know if that's dependent on the road construction. I'm actually not sure if the road construction has passed this point yet or not. And by this point, I mean the actual road leading up to Massey's. I don't know if they've passed this point yet.
Yeah, I was just going to point out as well, it looks like they've been hooking up those Tesla Megapacks too at the front.
Also,
say that again? Oh, the Megapacks?
There's a big 2 megawatt generator sitting there just waiting for temporary power.
Are they getting hooked in, or is something else going on there?
No, they are, because there's the it's not a transformer. What's the
Yeah, that's a transformer.
Are you sure? I thought there was. Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of the for the solar system. What's in between the battery and the
No, the Megapacks have their inverters built into the Megapacks, but no, that's a transformer. That's a typical Megapack installation. There's a pad with a transformer and usually 3 or 4 Megapacks on it, and then you just repeat. For those people that are following Giga Texas, they are in the midst of installing 64 Megapacks.
Yeah, I saw the photo of that. It was quite mind-blowing to see.
Is that blue truck also part of this whole shenanigans, if you will?
This is I think, either 1 or 2 megawatt generator right here. So, it almost looks like they're using the generator to charge the batteries.
And why does
my guess is the generator's there till we get power down the road from Magic Valley. But in the meantime, they could use this generator to power the Megapacks and start running real power on the whole site and get rid of all the portable generators.
Yeah, so we got 2 more portables over here, and then I think they're still using the ones near. Yeah, they still have generators over here in the center of the tank farm. I think there was additional ones too.
Yeah, there's one up by the water plant, I think. There's, I think there might be one by the cryo stations too.
Oh yeah, one over here.
Yeah. So I think they're going to be, there's spools of wire around here, so I think they have not got everything wired up, but I think they're in parallel running wire through Massey's and getting ready to get permanent power in. Yeah, and then they'll have the mega packs ready, and they'll have that big generator ready until such time as they can run their substation power out to the road.
Well, that is very good progress down here at Massey's. I think we've kind of covered everything in this area, so I want to make sure that we touch on some questions over here because I know we always have questions at Massey's. So Indy or Mauricio, I'll let y'all take care of that.
Do you want to start off with donations?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So we have a donation from JK Video, who was kind enough to donate $10 and says, start the train and hit that like button. So if you do enjoy what you're hearing, please be sure to hit that like button. We want that algorithm to send us out into the universe to people who've never heard us before so we can bring Starbase to them. We also want to thank Michelle Nichols for her $2 contribution. She says, happy birthday to Owen. And gents, today is Forge Gamer's brother, Owen's birthday. He is 13 today. Happy birthday, Owen. Gents, if you want to wish him, that'd be great too.
Yeah, happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday.
And Sharpie donated $10 and says, as usual, thank you, RGV people. And that's it for the donations. Mauricio, do you want me to do the questions or would you like to do them? Well, Indy, you go ahead and do the questions. Thanks, Mauricio. I will. First question is from Justin IMO. I think I got that right this time. He's asking, can they be trying to build underlying components for test stations because they're iterating so many variations?
Can you repeat that question? It's a little confusing.
Can they be trying to build underlying components for test stations because they're iterating so many variations? So do you think that they're making underlying components because they're doing a bunch of testing on different things?
I wonder if he means underlying, like in the literal sense, like this lies underneath like a transport stand or something like that.
Oh wow!
I think one way to look at it is they're building a kit of testing parts, like the cage that's now on its like 5th iteration, and the puck checker, which is on like its 4th. So I think they're trying to build systems of testing equipment that can perform a wide variety of tests as they need them for various test articles. Sure seems that way.
Cool. I just noticed a question in the chat from Crane Man, who would ask this question. Is there any indication of an upcoming crane at Massey's for lifting boosters and ships? And no, we have not really seen that yet. I mean, we got this thing here, but that is just basically helping out with the cryostation construction for that QD. But nope, we have not seen any cranes actually make their way to Massey's yet.
Yeah, we were sort of discussing this last night. A 1650 or another 11,000 or something would be a likely candidate for here. As somebody pointed out last night, Buckner has something like 200 LR 11,000s in their inventory right now.
So we don't have a crane on hand that we could use? We'd have to get another crane?
Most of the cranes on hand have dedicated functions, so why not get another one?
Because they're expensive? Because you got to get people to use them? And I don't think crane operators... I don't know if there are that many crane operators. I understood it to be a niche.
Well, like I said, Buckner has 200 of them. I think think they can provide an operator if you need one. I mean, it's just like SPMTs. How many SPMTs do you think they, we're up
Yeah.
to what, 10 or 12 SPMTs now that seem to never not be in use?
I can drive an SPMT. I don't know that I can manage a crane right away.
I bet you could do it.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
I think I could too.
the thing is, any of these cranes that are out here, the large cranes, as Dave was saying, they're tied to some function, so they're more than likely not going to leave those functions because then it slows down the process in other areas. So with that, we're definitely going to have a dedicated crane for Masseys.
Yeah, with 4 test stations in Massey's, I can't see them not assigning a crane to it.
So I have another question for you from F14D, Jared C. Could the Massey's megapacks be at risk of being soaked by cryofluids that come out of the tank failure or leak?
Well, they haven't done a cryo test of failure in a while, and last time they did it was on this pad, so I suppose if it happened here, then that could be an issue, but I feel like anytime they do failure tests from here on, in order to protect the rest of the infrastructure, they'll probably do it in this area.
Yeah, I also think that, remember, the mega packs are designed to be outdoors where weather and potential flooding and other things happen, so I suspect
regular flooding, not cryo flooding, though.
Yeah, but I still suspect they're designed to be fairly weather tight up to the roof level.
Fair enough. We also want to thank Steve Coates for his $1.99 donation. He says choo choo. And we want to welcome JC Davis and Diamond Paint with Diamond Dave, who just became members, RGV members. Welcome to the team, gents and ladies, or everybody.
All right. Any more Massey's questions?
No, sir.
Cool. Well, with that, let's go ahead and swap over to the Sanchez site. All right. Well, starting at the...
Okay, there's an obvious change.
Yeah, definitely. So the ground fabrication building is coming along. Last week, we saw them finishing up the conduit work down here. You can actually see some of the conduit sticking out of the ground right here. And it looks like they have the... is this called a vapor barrier? What's the actual...
Yeah, it's vapor barrier.
Yeah, so the vapor barrier for the foundation of the structure. So there's formwork up here on the side, and it looks like, I guess on top of this, they'll be laying all of the rebar, and then we'll pour that base.
The rebar.
Oh, it's already there?
Zoom in. That's all rebar.
Okay.
Rebar sitting on little posts. It's ready for concrete or real close to it. Maybe some embeds.
Yeah, I guess I kind of thought that was the pattern of the vapor barrier.
It does look like that.
I did last night until we zoomed in on it during the show and tell.
Oh, that is rebar.
Yeah, the only thing we don't see is the embeds for the legs of the building. And Philly Kid pointed out that on a lot of these buildings, they don't put embeds in. They just pour a thick edge slab. If you look here, the perimeter of the slab is thicker than the middle. And then they just drill holes and put construction anchors into the concrete slab. They don't even have to put an embed in.
What's with the red bordered areas that are all over the place, but no rhyme or reason?
Yeah, it's red tape just to tape the yellow vinyl together to make it all watertight.
Interesting.
Flex seal.
Which means if you notice there that they pieced and parted some of the pieces together down towards the bottom right-hand corner of this thing.
So it's literally like patchwork.
It's a patchwork quilt.
As long as it does its job, it'll be fine.
Yeah, can we change the color, though? I'm not a big fan of bright yellow as far as quilts are concerned.
I would have to agree with that.
Be a nice grey layer soon, so it's all good.
So we know that this is the main part of that building. We still don't know which direction this is going to be facing, though, because of this being a square. So as I was saying, they'll probably extend the base out in this direction next, and it looks like they have some conduit going in this direction. So I don't know if there's a further extension after this, or if this is just tying it in to the rest of the electrical grid at Sanchez.
And
Yeah,
forgive-
if that is going to be another building on the side there, then I guess the ground fabrication building will either be facing towards Highway 4 or facing towards the back of Sanchez. Though I think towards Highway 4 is more likely.
And when you say facing or the way that it's going to face, you're talking about the front door, yes? In theory?
Where the pizza oven door would be.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. And also in this area, we have, I'm going to move to another image that tries to show this from the side. Okay, I was trying to activate these thumbnails, but that didn't work. Oh, here we go. And of course, you guys can't see that, but got these thumbnails up here, so maybe this image will help out. It's a side view, but oh, here we go. This is the one I want. I lied. All right, there's got to be a ground picture of this, so stand by. I'm going to get a ground picture. And I actually just finished downloading the rest of the ground images, so this is going to take me a little bit just to open these up.
And
Time for
yeah,
everyone to use.
I was going to apologize in advance a little to everybody because Mauricio did air and ground yesterday. The image processing wasn't completed till this morning, so he was uploading the final launchpad pictures while we were starting the stream. So it's going to be a little bit of an exploration trip for everybody.
Yeah. Do you know the name of this?
I don't know if it has a name, but I guess I would call this the pancake transport stand.
That's exactly what it's called. That's what it was called on Twitter by the fellow who takes care of, what is the place that we stay at when we go there?
Rocket Ranch?
Rocket Ranch. Thank you.
Anthony?
Yes, Anthony. Thank you.
Anthony Gomez.
So I think that was that the first time that we've heard it referred to as a pancake. Was it
Yes.
on the so during before they moved all of this stuff to the launch site last night, I think there was an announcement at the pad, and they basically were letting employees know that they needed to move their vehicles out of the way because it was in the way of the transporting the pancake.
Pancake transport. That's right.
Yeah, that's like about the fifth name that we've heard from it at this point. Upside down shower head. I think they've called it the Starship bidet.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like a bidet to me.
Well, you haven't seen it in operation yet.
Agreed.
But I think the pancake may only be the centerpiece of it, and then we've got the manifolds around the outside and everything that we've been staring at for weeks that may be part of another name like the upside down shower head or the Starship bidet system.
I thought the upside down
booster bidet BBS.
Oh boy. I thought wow.
I don't come up with the names, I just use what the Nerdle has the fandom has appointed.
Okay. I thought that the upside down shower heads had to do with the plate itself and the nozzles that are keeping it the stream or the mist from going straight into the Raptors. No?
Well, I think that I don't think this will touch the Raptors. Like just the angle that it's going to be
right. That's the
shooting
goal,
at
right?
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a lot of different names for it. We're kind of getting into semantics a little bit. But I guess we should show what we're talking about here as well too. So yesterday they actually moved out the pancake, and the edge of this doorway was actually not the doorway. The whole siding of the building was removed probably about 2 days ago. So yeah, up to that point, I mean, this was like right here is the most we have ever seen of this structure until that door came off. So that allowed us to get a nice view of everything that's on the inside of there and see this massive plate. And last night, this was transported to the launch site.
I had never seen anybody bore holes in the side of that such a large, thick piece of metal either. That was crazy watching those fellows.
Oh, that was that was just the hole was already bored. They were just putting the threads in it. That was a
Is that
tap.
all that? Okay, that
Yeah.
was a tap and die
That was
situation.
Yeah, that was just a very big tap with a very long handle on it, with two very large guys hanging off the handle to get it to move.
So funny.
Yeah, and
all I can say is I didn't envy those guys having to do that tapping.
yeah, Starship Gazer had a really good video of it, but we can also see it right here. So actually, I don't know if we can see the actual die from the side, but actually, you can kind of see
That's
it
it, right there behind the ladder.
And you can see the
Exactly.
extensions they put on it.
Hey Zach, can you hear me?
Yeah.
If you pull up that video that I recorded, they're doing the exact same thing the next day. Well, when I went out there.
Nice.
But I don't know if you downloaded it.
I have not yet because I was downloading the other ground images. Let me see if I can pull that up.
So while you're doing that, those circles on the left there, those are just placeholders, if you will, to keep.
Those are plugs.
Plugs. Okay.
Those are threaded plugs in the holes they've already tapped.
Oh, okay. But they don't look like. Oh, I guess they do look like they're threaded. The last one on the end looks threaded.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite the operation they have there. I'm not sure if industrial safety is approving this double handle extension system they have there.
You know what, Dave? Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. As long as you're not getting hurt, we're all right. Right?
All right, here we go. I got this. Oh, let me get rid of the audio on this really quick because it'll be loud. Cool. Oh, okay. So yeah, you guys can see in this footage right here. Where's the black light coming from? I'm seeing. Yeah, sorry, I'm distracted by this black light on the side of it.
Oh wow!
But yes, this is the tap that they're using right here. You can see them connecting the extension on here, and
and then the extension on the extension.
Yeah, I've seen a few different ways of them doing this. I think my favorite one was when the guy actually jumps off of the top of this, and then sometimes it's just kind of a little bit more boring like this, where they're jumping up to pull it down.
Well, there's three of them hanging off of it there.
Yeah, these are the small guys. In Starship Gazer's video, they had all the big weightlifter dudes out there, and they were like taking turns. It was kind of funny watching them stand there because it's like they had that look to them where it's like, yeah, this is what I'm here for. You need the big guy to do this work. But this is cool footage as well too. So right now we're looking at them, cleaning out the inside of this. I'm guessing they're removing all of the burrs from their metal shavings.
Oh wow, and white cloth too, apparently.
Yeah.
Dave, do you see that eye hole right there? That's what I was referring to when we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
The other day.
Yeah, there's 4 of them there actually, 2 verticals and 2 horizontals. I'm wondering if that may actually also be what they're going to use to help tie this into the legs or something.
It makes sense.
I mean, this is quite the structure. It was quite the interesting video last night that Starship Gazer and NSF had watching this thing get driven out of the tent on the SPMTs and make the turns.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them try to install this thing underneath the OLM. That's going to be quite the challenge.
And
what we don't see here, because it happened after Mauricio took these pictures, is they welded large I-beams onto the top of this to make a lifting frame so that the cranes could pick it up and put it on the pancake adapter.
Yeah, we I'm going to show this video. Probably should ask Ryan before I do this, but I'm just going to show it. So have a good video from the episode that I released last night. Ryan Hansen Space made a nice render showing us what it would look like trying to actually maneuver this thing into position, because it's going to be pretty large. So this is kind of going against what I normally do, but I will go ahead and show it here if I can find it.
Well, then I have a question for you as well. And I asked Rocket Prophet earlier. We were contemplating what the answer might be. The question is, do you think that they will put the plate in place before laying out the concrete on underneath the OLM? Or do you think that they will do the concrete first and wait till it cures and then put the plate?
I think that they'll have to pour the concrete first because they're going to have to roll the SPMTs in there. So you're not going to roll the SPMTs on top of rebar. So
but don't they have a
in that
crane
case,
to lift that for that purpose?
Watch
nah.
the video first.
Yeah. So you, if seeing this video, you'll kind of see how this will have to be done, because you can't use you would need two cranes, and that wouldn't work because you'd have to bring one of the hooks in from like the center of the table to grab it from one side, and they'll just never do that. So this thing is also way too wide to go in through the top, so it has to be lifted in or transported in through the side, which is the whole purpose of that little frame, the frame that we looked at earlier. So they didn't use the frame for actually transporting it. It's only constructed for this moment right here. And so, yeah, basically driving it into the center of the launch mount, where Marvin will lift it from above, more than likely. Still don't know if this will be able to be done in with a single crane or if they'll need to tandem lift it. But because of the motions that it has to do in order to get into position, it's a little difficult. So you can kind of see that, like, when they bring it in, they have to get it in the middle first and kind of maneuver it into in between these two legs in order to sit it down. And this actually technically is an incorrect animation, so that's why I'm willing to share it here, because it's wrong. So
why is it
this
wrong?
piece, there are right now it looks like there's like three, I guess you call them like flower petals on here, but there's actually four of them. So we were kind of guessing based on what we were able to see in the from the ground images. And one of the reasons why, Ryan actually initially had, he did have the fourth one modeled on here because it's missing. So we figured that it had to be there. But then as we were trying to as he was trying to like fit this into position, it just wouldn't fit with that there. So we were like, well, it's probably not there since we can't fit it. So he just removed it. But that ended up being wrong. So, yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's going to be quite the Tetris operation fitting this thing in there.
Yeah, this is a beautiful animation, by the way. I was really glad that he was able to pull this off so quickly. So,
I was talking to Jake about this earlier, and I was like, "How are they able to figure out the shape?" And Jake was like, "I don't know how they do it, but they're pretty good at it, or something like that." But yeah, Ryan's really talented.
Yeah, I was, and he put it together so quickly. I mean, I was like I was actually in the middle of recording that episode, and somebody was like, "Hey, they're taking the wall of that tent down," and I like almost threw my mouse because I just knew what that meant. I was like, I was really, really hoping they wouldn't do that before the episode came out, because I knew it was going to force me to have to change some stuff. But like trying to actually look at those images, and I'll go back to them as well too. Like it's really hard to tell just looking at it from the ground what's going on here. So, like as far as on what's happening on the backside, let me. Oh, that's not what I want. Let's see.
I just hope they don't accidentally jam this plate when they go and try and lower it into place.
It's going to be very slow.
My thumbnails are broken, so I'm gonna have to. Okay,
when I break a nail.
Yeah, when you're looking under this thing, it's really hard to tell the shape other than the frontal edge of it. So, yeah, it was a bit of guesswork and kind of just took a chance and hoping it was right before they actually moved it.
And there are
But
those
yeah,
icons.
what was that?
That's the lifting frame.
Yeah, so they had to lift this frame on here, or sorry, weld this frame onto here specifically for that purpose of lifting it. That's a pretty hefty frame for that. So, I mean, so the good thing about this is, we were originally expecting it to be brought in pieces, and there's a lot of welding that's happening here. So you can see this is a plate that goes in the middle of two of the sections. So you can see how large that vertical piece is. I think it's about, I think Ryan said 2.5 inches thick. They wrote a lot of the dimensions on here. I don't think this one has the dimension, but I believe this is 2.5 inches right here. So, getting all of these welds and then having to shave all this stuff down at the launch site would have taken forever. So it was kind of good that they did all of this the way they did, because it's drastically reduced the amount of time that it'll take to install this. And on that note, I think it also would have been physically impossible to weld this at the launch site, and that was one of the things that I've been saying for like weeks. We've been arguing about, like, how are they going to actually weld this together from under the launch mount unless you're able to get underneath it somehow. And so it made sense to construct all of this outside of the launch mount. And I guess into future launch mounts, launch mount number 3 and 4, this will probably be one of the first things this will probably be lifted into place before they put the deck of the launch mount on. So
it is worth mentioning that the one open side on this did have chamfered edges on the top and bottom. You won't see it's on the back side.
okay.
But yeah, it looks like it had chamfered edges for being able to weld it to something else. So I
There
don't
should
know
be there's 3
how they do
edges with
that.
circular holes and 3 edges with open rectangular holes on the
Yeah,
6
that's it.
sides of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to find the the image from the air really quick.
Hey, grid fins.
Yep,
Should
two
be
grid fins.
booster 12 probably.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that was a great shot inside of this tent.
Mauricio, is this one of the ones you enhanced, perchance?
Probably not. There's probably a different image in that gallery. But yeah, this was really difficult because of the angle. I had some issues. If you look at the flight plan of when we're flying around, I did like 2 or 3 passes trying to get this shot.
Just trying to get that shot.
Well, the other thing, when you look at all the ground shots, you realize that this is very interesting, because this is like the last 10 or 15% of the building. The entire rest of the building is filled with racks of storage inventory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just thinking that the inventory tent crew were probably glad to have this massive steel plate out there now.
I would agree with that. This was actually one of the first times where we've been able to see that. And yeah, they got some inventory, that's for sure.
It's
Just rows
intense.
and rows. I feel like they need another inventory tent. And sorry if you guys can hear Chicago being Chicago in the background. Yeah.
Well, I happen to know where there's a couple of tents that are going to be available in a couple of months. They could move over here.
That is very true. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised that they didn't just put this on a larger foundation so they could make it bigger, because they, in my opinion, clearly need a larger inventory tent. But yeah, I guess let's check out some more aerials of that as well too.
If they still have to pour the concrete, why did they move the hexagon so soon?
Well, that's a good question. I think it could have just been just wanting to get it out of here. and get it to the launch site, because you're just gonna have to do it at some point. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can't really think of a good reason to move it ahead of that actual concrete job being completed.
Well, so I suspect that it's because that concrete might get poured over the next 4 days, and they want it there without interfering with the July 4th weekend road closing.
Yeah, but it still has to cure, doesn't it, once they pour it?
Uh,
I
it
think
it has to cure, but not as long as you would think, because they're just dropping this on it. They're not putting any extra load on it beyond this.
yeah, that was a bit of a debate that happened on Twitter, because I slipped up when I posted this tweet and said that, once it cures in a few days, that they'll be able to start lifting these in place. What I should have said was once it hardens in a few days, because curing will take a long time, but you're not really waiting for it to cure. Like, you're really just waiting for it to harden, and this is an example of that. Booster 11's staging pad. So Booster 11 was here like 3 or 4 days after they finished the pad. So, they definitely did not wait for it to cure, mainly just waited for it to harden. And the difference between this and the launch mount is that while this is a thinner pad, it's not as thin as people think it is. It's like at least 5 feet deep, I want to say. At least some of the past ones have been that deep, so I'm assuming this is about that deep as well. But this is actually the design load for this pad, essentially. That's not to say it's not strong enough to take something even larger, but that's what this pad is designed for. This is its full design load, like max load right here. But the launch mount, that foundation is designed for 33 Raptor engines, and not 33 Raptor 2 engines. It's 33 like Raptor 8 engines. So putting that plate on there, I say little, but when you compare that to the stagnation pressure of those Raptor engines, it's nowhere near the same amount. So I feel like within days after getting that concrete poured, they should be able to get that in place.
Yeah, and I feel like with the steel plates, they spread the loads quite evenly as well, really, don't they? There's no sort of real pressure points pushing down in the concrete with that.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of spreading loads, well, that sounded wrong. Sorry. I didn't think that one through. So, on these plates that you can see right here, they're mostly complete. It looks like they've gotten most of their tents out of the way. A lot of this was covered up for a while, so we weren't able to see it. But you can see these new frames that have been attached on here, and we believe these are also temporary frames. So initially we thought these may be for pipe racks, but as you can tell, it's more like a counterweight. So because if you try to lift this, part of it has to go underneath the launch mount. So you can't you can't lift it from the true center of gravity, and I don't even know where it would be. But wherever you're going to lift it from, it's going to want to tilt forward. So this is on here. I don't know if this is enough weight to stop it from tilting backwards, or if they have to put additional weight on top of this. I think this may be perfectly weighted for what they need it to do, because you can see that there's 4 cross beams on this, and on this one there's 3. Like, I don't know if that is a sign of additional weight being added onto it by adding an additional crossbeam.
I suspect those are sized to match the SPMT counterweights that they have floating around.
Yeah, I think there's going to be actual weights applied onto these.
Yeah, that would make sense. So yeah, I mean, these are being prepared to move rather soon. I mean, I would expect these probably also move to the launch site within the next few days. Maybe not before the holiday, but I don't think there's going to need to be a road closure for these.
Yeah, they look pretty much ready to go now.
Yeah, if we take a look at the third one, it has a little bit of a different lifting setup going on across the top of it. And I don't think they have any. It doesn't look like they're
There,
preparing for counterweights on this one.
there is something going on underneath that tent, so there may be something on the pipe that they're using to
Well, the
bounce the
difference
load out
is
a bit.
this one,
Wouldn't you
that
want it on
pipe
this
hanging
side?
out, that pipe hanging out so far to the side changes the whole balance of this one. So it's going to be a much different thing to pick up because you're going to have to pick up the plate probably with one crane and have a line out near the end of that pipe to keep it from rocking.
Or a whole nother crane lifting from here. I think that's a possibly lifting eye right there.
Yeah, there's a shark
So,
hole.
yeah, so this is going to be this one. This is another unique. Gee, what a surprise lift.
Yeah, it's going to be fun watching them fit all that stuff in place.
But I do think all of these could travel on one SPMT load.
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose if you make them long enough, you probably could do that. Well, yeah, because they're only about like you could at least do two of them. I don't know if you can move all three, but that would be interesting.
I think a double wide SPMT, 12, 20 axle or whatever, 4-section part, like they do for a booster move, would fit all of them.
Right. So I have a question, Dave. I don't know if you've given any thought to this piece over here, but we also have some ground images of it. So I think this is related to the water system somehow, possibly, or it could be something completely different. But the fact that they're working on it here now kind of tells me that it's related to that. So have you any thoughts on what this is? And I'm gonna try and find a ground shot of it.
Jake, I think you were hinting about this last night.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but what I do know is there's another tank sort of similar to this sitting at the launch site near the water supply system. Yeah, it hasn't got as many outlets on it, but it's pretty similar shape and size.
So both of these should be vertical tanks, so it's on its side right now for construction work. This is not how it's going to end up, because you can see the anchor holes on the right-hand end of it here. So could be a pressure tank. It could also be a repurposed tank that they're only using some of the ports on it, and the rest are just sealed because they were there for the last use.
And it is worth mentioning that they did install new pilings in the ground right behind the high pressure gas cylinder stacks. So maybe that's where these tanks are going to go.
Yeah, like I say, it's going to be, as I have said repeatedly over the last, I think, month, we're going to have to wait for next week's flight to see where this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really have no idea on this, but I do think it's part of that system. I've been trying to see the bottom interface, like if there's anything in a different location that looks similar to the size of this. But
So what I would expect here is the bottom is a mounting flange. It's not part of the tank, and there's a manhole where your cursor is, and then above the manhole is, so to the right of the manhole is the actual bottom of the tank.
like down here. Oh wait, is this the right here?
Yeah, like right there, right there is a bottom dome of the tank. So the manhole, so you can get to the plumbing coming out of the bottom of the tank, and then there's either a manhole or a filling hole there on the side where that scaffold is.
Interesting. We have a bunch of other pipe work going on over here as well too. I'm going to see if I can get another angle of that. I guess it's not as much as I thought it was. Just a few random pipe sections, which we're not sure if are related to the system. I mean, clearly look like they are, but we don't know if this is like excess or if they'll be moving this to the launch site sometime soon as well.
Okay. Remember those shapes, and we'll talk about them when we get to the launch site.
Yeah, because we've seen something similar to these over there that are in larger assemblies, so we'll touch on those again once we get over there. What else do we have going on at Sanchez?
Well, one thing I saw was the inventory building now has painted parking spaces for their forklifts. On the backside. Nope, to the right. Nope, up, right there. 8 parking spaces.
Yeah, and how long are they going to get used for?
Well, you don't know that they don't. They are fenced off on the street side. There's a barricade there, so these are definitely not road vehicle parking spaces.
Except for this one.
Well, the three on the left side are pull-in spaces from the road, and then these are like. I think that truck is parked where that orange forklift is supposed to be where that truck is.
I would agree because that's a big forklift.
Anyway, it was just interesting noting that they continue to paint off areas and organize their exterior more and more as we see stuff happening here.
They're fans of Maria Conduit, the lady who likes to put everything in place. Everything has a place, and there's a place for everything.
I have never heard of that. Is she like a hoarder?
No, she's an organizer. She actually does the opposite of hoarding. She will go through and organize your life by your closet.
Yeah, I know. We went through this at work. I can't remember, it's a Japanese thing, but yeah, literally putting down tape lines on the floor where every piece of equipment's supposed to get stored.
They do that everywhere with the cleaning supplies and everything inside the buildings as well.
Yeah, so it's obvious looking at this area here. They've been working their way towards it.
So I got a bit of a random question. Do you reckon they'll put a proper roller shutter door on the end of the inventory tent now, or just completely seal it up again?
I mean, I would say that the forklifts are large enough to get through the other doorways, so this may be the last time they need to open this up.
All their inventory went through. Yeah, all their inventory went through truck and forklift doors. So I don't know that they would need to have any oversized stuff at this point.
True.
But if it was me, I would put a roll-up door there just because.
Yeah, it's always good to have it just in case, I guess.
Well, and you just finished talking about having more plates and needing more tents, so it does make sense to keep it accessible like that with the door.
Right. I'm going to grab this other image right here. So moving towards the, I'm going to try and get us out of the Sanchez site here soon because we got a lot else to cover. So moving over to the air separation plant / Raptor install and rocket garden. So they started to excavate the piles that are down here. So it looks like they're preparing for a pad to be here in the near future. And there is some speculation on whether that'll be an additional staging pad, but I don't know.
Sure looks like it's the right size.
It does. And I'm hesitant to say that it won't be one because the last time I said that, it happened. So we'll just leave it as a maybe.
Yeah.
While you're looking there, we have the base of SN2 X-Tank. Now totally X-Tank because the tank is gone and all that's left is the concrete base.
BN2. Yes. Yeah, SN2. SN2 is still lucky to still be around. Although I don't know if it'll be like that forever.
Oops, didn't mean to switch pictures like that. Sorry. It's just out of this image. I guess I can't see that one from this image. Yeah, so it does make sense to put another pad here in one regard, in my opinion. So, I was kind of confused on the original placement of this one, mostly because of the fact that it looks like they're going to expand this. So right now they deleted BN2, and that makes sense because I believe if you're gonna add 10 of these in line over here, then you're gonna need room for at least 5 on each side, right? So I was confused why they put this here in the first place, and I don't know. I think it could be possible that they move this over to this position.
Yeah, I'm still thinking obviously these engine installation stands will be inside the bays eventually, where they can just use the bridge cranes.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. The other big item that we have not seen yet since last week is the updated rocket garden. So that is pretty crazy. I think this is just something that you'll never see anywhere else, which is a fleet of rockets sitting outside.
Yet.
Well,
especially one this large.
Ones that could actually get launched. I mean, certainly you can go to the rocket garden at KSC or someplace like that and see all the old rockets rusting in the sun.
Yeah, this is an amazing view. Like I said, I feel like taking a trip down there just to get a picture in front of it. But I'll wait till the next launch.
And you already have a couple of pictures in front of the older rocket garden, so that's a cool progression photo.
Yeah, for a while I had pictures every time they changed it, but I've missed like the last 3 configurations of the rocket garden, so given up on that dream of getting every single pictures in front of every single configuration of this rocket garden. But still cool either way. More news on this side would be on the backside of the Mega Bay that they have deleted the Airstream Park. Well, that actually got moved months ago, but they've they had the actual turf down here for a while. And I think it was even last week. I don't know if I said this last week that I believe they'll probably remove that soon and put something back here. And just a week later, it looks like they ripped out half of it and then put a concrete pad down here. So I think we're thinking this may end up being additional parking because they really need that. But at the end of the day, this really is not that large of a parking lot. It's not going to get everything off the street, but still good to see them actually increasing the amount of employee parking so they can get some of those cars off the street. And if you look down, towards the build site, let me get a different image.
I'm just going to say, as Counting Crow said, Big Yellow Taxi, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot.
Yeah, you might be able to get all of these cars off the street, but all of these and off the side over here is something that is very rare for them to have this many cars off the side.
I don't know if we talked about this yet, but the abandonment process for the Remedios Avenue, there's already a sign that wasn't there last week. Just giving an update on, I guess, what the progression is on that. So,
is that in the ground images?
Yes, in the ground images, and then they also put one too in the where that construction sign over at where is it? What is the opposite side? What is that name of that road? San Martin, I believe.
And San Martin's the one going over by the Star Factory.
Yeah, so they have one over there as well. The same signage, just saying that they basically just explaining the abandonment process and some county documents. So there's an image of that. We can.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them. I'm scrolling through these.
And that's different from the sign that tells everybody to go back home for the restrooms, right?
Yeah, that's totally different. That's something. The one you're referring to is just a sign that's by the gate, just kind of giving general information to the public. From what it seems like, it's a public sign for that SpaceX put up for the public. And then So we're talking about the rocket garden, right? About taking photos in front of it. So I'm not sure if that's gonna be a thing. When just depends how much of Remedios Avenue they're gonna abandon, for that. Maybe Dave knows more about this particular document that we're talking about.
I do not. It's news to me, and we're going to have to look at those pictures and search the Cameron County Commissioner's records.
Yeah, I'm not finding that picture here.
I've seen the documents the other day. It looks like it's a section pretty much right in front of where they're building Mega Bay 2 and a bit of ground next to Mega Bay 2 where they're staging all the hardware. I think it's the section of Remedios in front of that's been abandoned.
Sorry, I'm struggling here to find the pictures I'm looking for.
I just posted it on live comms. You can just pull it up from there.
Thank you.
It may not be that legible, but you might be able to tell what it says.
Actually, it's very legible.
So nothing important on this. Let's see. Petition for road abandonment. So, owners of property together with undersigned 8 landowners. I hate reading through legal jargon. Landowners living in precinct number 1, Cameron County, Texas, to respectfully request that the Cameron County Commissioners Court enter an order to pursuant to VTCA Transportation Code, not going to read that, to abandon a section of the road presently known as Remedios, located at the Spanish Dagger Subdivision, Section 2. What is that?
So
I've never heard that. Starbase. Spanish Dagger Subdivision is Starbase.
I'm reading.
Is that its code name?
Yeah, that goes back to the 60s when they platted this out. That was the name of the subdivision.
Interesting. What were you saying, Andy?
I was reading something just now that says that they tabled the decision. They tabled 4 items pertaining to the Boca Chica site that include consideration and adoption of an order to abandon a portion of Remedios Avenue, Johanna Street, Annette Street, and Lucera Court, all located near the SpaceX Boca Chica site. And that was from the 25th.
Yeah, looking at the parts they colored in on the drawing, it will not affect access to the rocket garden.
So this is the part they're talking about?
Yeah, the yellow section.
Oh.
That's it.
Thought they already been abandoned that part, man. Come on.
Yeah, I mean they've always had the no trespassing private property signs at that point. So what does that mean? It wasn't private property before, or
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it SpaceX not playing ball there?
But
no, I think is it the yellow or is it the green was the already abandoned. So that was the last one they did.
And now it's the yellow as well. That's the proposed abandonment.
Oh,
and they might creep up. What if they start creeping up more towards Highway 4?
Well, they'll have to file another abandonment proceeding just like this one.
I will petition against it.
Well, apparently so did all of the public. It says several members of the public addressed this issue during public comment of Tuesday's meeting, with many requesting the county not to abandon the roads and further discussion with the public.
This is the public discussion. We don't like it.
Do not abandon it.
Now,
moving on, do we want to take questions before we move on to the build site?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
All right, so give me a second. First question from Cranky Old Man. This is going back to the water-cooled steel plates. Any idea why the holes were made in the pancake, then threaded and plugged?
Yes and no. We're still working on that theory. I don't have a thought on it yet, though. I mean, they are going to be adding additional plates on there, so it's a little confusing. We initially expected some sort of something to like reduce the volume that's flowing through there, so that you don't have too high of a flow coming out the other side of the plates. But that's not what it looks like so far. So we will have to see. I mean, it's going to be tough because we're never going to get another view showing that as well. But yeah, I don't know. You guys have any thoughts?
I'm just as baffled about those plugged holes. Because yeah, 'cause I know there's going to be plates going on those faces as well, but I don't quite understand why those faces aren't totally open
The only
and why
thing
they're
I
packed like
can
that.
think of, the only thing I can think of, and see what both of you think of this, is the plates that they're putting in. But see, now they put the back covers on them, so it makes it harder for this theory to work. I was thinking you could go reach through the plate with a long um, shaft and drive a threaded fitting between the extension and this and tighten them down together. But how you would get to these threaded areas to put any torque on them once the next plate is in place, I don't know.
Well, that is the thing with the manifold assemblies. The ends of those plates are actually still completely open.
The
So yeah,
joining
it's a
ends
weird
are,
one.
but I was thinking about the opposite end, so you could reach through the plate with a long wrench extension, basically, and put it like a cap plug through the extension and then into this threaded hole, and make a connect a watertight connection between the two.
Somebody in the chat just put that the plugs are to prevent bending, twisting while lifting. Could that be a possibility?
Well, I think the plugs are, but we're really talking about why did they make the hole threaded in the very first place?
And yeah, and why wasn't that side just left completely open
Yeah,
to join onto the other plates?
because you can't see it here, but when we if we can pull up a picture from last night, if somebody has one from one of the streams, the other three sides of the sandwich are big rectangular holes that are just open into the interior.
Yeah, I have some images I can pull up here.
So we've got two very different structures. We've got wide open, full access sides, and we've got these threaded hole sides that match up with the holes in the manifold plates.
Let me see here. Do I have an image of it? This is like a really, really tiny screenshot that I sent to Ryan last night, so this will have to do for now.
And then here's a quick question while we
This is
wait.
from the NASA spaceflight live stream.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, so you can see the open end on this side. Go ahead, Mauricio.
Yeah, the next question here was, have all the showerhead plates been accounted for? Question from Peter.
At this point, yes.
Yeah.
There's something. Oh no, no. We're still missing three sections. So I kind of talked about this in the episode I released last night. There's 3 sections on the end of the plates that will need to be added. So
I
I don't know if
think
I
we
can.
found those over at the launch site during show and tell last night. We'll talk about them when we get over there.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then the next question here is from Dougie. How do you think they're going to be able to remove the I-beams from the pancake after they place it under the launching mount? They are pretty welded.
Chop them up, lift them off.
The typical SpaceX answer: you weld them on and you angle grind them off. They do it every day, all over the site.
All right, the next question is from Route 66 Goldhound. What are the white pieces with oblong holes next to the third plate? He's referring to the steel plate that's by itself.
Every time I turn away from this, I end up having to go back to it. So let me. Which one? What did
It's
he
gonna be
read it again?
the single water cooled steel plate on the top of the image. That one and the question is referring to those items next to it.
No idea.
To the right.
I
I
stared at
think
these for a while,
those
couldn't
are
figure it out.
legs. I think those are legs, similar to what we saw on the OLIT. They would get tipped up on end, and those open areas are access to get inside them. We might guess, basically like big pipe stands.
Yeah, I thought about this one before the show, and I was not able to figure out a purpose for them. They look familiar, but as far as I can recall, I don't remember seeing anything like this before. So,
And then we have the next question from 55 Chevy Guy. Could the strange mystery tanks be hydraulic accumulator or expansion tanks? That tank right there.
I think expansion tank makes sense. I just don't know where it would be needed. I mean, there's a good chance this has nothing to do with that water system at all. But yeah, I mean, I feel like with this one, we may have to just wait for it to be lifted into place. I mean, there could even be a bladder in there, honestly, that that would work for that expansion tank that he's talking about, or sorry, for an accumulator. But that would be a really big accumulator, and the ones that they have, the largest accumulators on site are probably the ones for the chopsticks, and they're nowhere near that large. So I don't think it's. I don't think that's what's related to.
All right, and the last question is from Crane Man. Those long frames could be needed to attach one of the cranes because the manifold is straight under the launch table. Yeah, I believe Crane Man's referring to those.
Yeah, very well could be. I mean, it's possible. I think so. Right now they have 4 lifting points. Right. Actually, it's tough to tell. On this one, for sure, there's 4. This one, it's a little difficult to tell because these look like holes. And they are holes. So if we get a different angle on them, you can see straight through them. So there's holes in these plates, which is very interesting. And this could possibly just be so that they can reach down through there and weld the plates down, but I'm not certain.
And that's it for all the questions on my end. Indian Sir, do you have donations? We
Lots
just got
of donations. Yep, I got lots of donations. I'm going to start off with PayPal donations. We have a $100 donation from Budget Bookkeeping, who says, for all y'all are doing, I'm with you every week, loving the details and love y'all's dedication. Thank you, Budget Bookkeeping. We also have a donation from Crane Man, who says, thank you again for the awesome pictures and the latest outgoing CSI Starbase episode, part 1.
Thank you, Crane Man.
And he continues to say, my donation for the next flight, Crane Man. Then also a donation of $20.64 from Vincent S., who says, thank you to the whole team for keeping the world aware of its amazing project. Woohoo! Then we have donations also in the chat. We have a $10 donation from Cranky Old Man 65, who says, on board the train, everyone hit the thumbs up. Yazada donated $10 and says he's in. Paul Harvey donated £5. Thanks for all your effort. 55 Chevy Guy Steve donated $10 and wants to ask Mauricio a question. He wanted you, Mauricio, to confirm that you took the picture of the pancake in the inventory tent from the plane flying 2 miles above Starbase. It's 10,500 feet above Starbase.
I wish.
And then we also want to... that threw me for a second. Sorry.
Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, we're talking about this picture, right?
I thought it was the one in the tent. Yeah, that one.
He's just asking the altitude?
He wanted Mauricio to confirm that he did it when he was flying the plane 2 miles above Starbase. Not possible.
Well, that's
10,500 feet.
Right. 2 miles.
Oh. Okay.
Just under 2 miles, but yeah.
All right.
It's a long way
Reel
away.
that back in.
What I heard was 2,000 feet. So I was like, yeah, I wish. I wish it was at 2,000, but if it's 2 miles, it sounds about right.
You know, a lot of people don't know how many feet are in a mile, but if you live in Denver, then you definitely know. So
people then. I would be a lot of people then. All right.
Yeah. Cool. So
wait, there's a few more donations real fast.
Oh, oops.
So sorry. Kenneth donated $50 and says, absolutely wonderful work, y'all. John Dopker, $5, and has a question about the volume of water being used. He wants to know, do we get Do we know yet the volume of water that'll be used? And we also want to welcome Kenneth as being a new member. Welcome to the RGV team. Go ahead, Zach. You can answer that question from John Dopker.
Well, I would say it's hard to say for sure. I mean, we know about the volume that's in those tanks, so the problem is we don't know how much of that they will use. We don't know if it's like use the entire thing or if you only use half of it. So it's really tough to tell. I feel like we're going to be waiting to see the first actual test of that in order to really be able to know. I mean, and honestly, even once we see it, it'll be really hard to tell what volume is coming out. So, yeah, tough to say on that one. Cool. If I ever get a chance, I'll ask Elon during a Twitter space.
Or in person.
I don't know if you've done this yet, Zach, but have we done the break for the hit the like button and all that stuff yet? Before we move on to the build site.
No, we have not. I was thinking that it was going pretty well. We have 613 likes right now, and there's about 1,300 of you watching. So, yeah, if those of you who haven't done that so far could go ahead and hit that like button, help us out, we would greatly appreciate that. So, thank you to everybody who's already done that so far.
And shout out to 1,300 people listening and watching.
Yeah, agreed. That usually happens once we get to the launch site. So,
right?
Yeah, definitely appreciate all of you being here with us on a Saturday. And this is like the 5th time I've changed back to the build site image. So are we okay to talk about the build site?
Yeah, I think we're good to move on.
Once bitten,
cool.
twice
So yeah, we got a lot to cover down here, and I feel like we're running behind a little bit. Because there's a lot to talk about still. So the Mega Bay, yeah. They got this other corner section stacked this morning. So that's the 3rd level. So 3rd level is semi-complete. They still have to do the cross beams on that, which they're probably doing as we're speaking. But yeah, then so that was this section right here on the ground. And what we didn't mention at Sanchez was the number of them that they have waiting. Oops. Okay, that's not the image I want. So they had 3 of them in progress at the time of this, and then 2 empty stands plus the... Oh, wow. Hold on. So there's 3 empty stands at the build site? Or 2?
Yeah, there'll be 3. Oh,
it's
4
2.
empty stands.
Okay, so there's 7 in total now. Yeah, that seems like overkill.
That counts as 2 stands there, doesn't it? Seeing as there's no section on that one anymore.
Yeah, that seems like overkill a little bit if you ask me. But they're moving super quick. I mean, they're able to cycle through these like endlessly. They're definitely, I would say this is going much faster than the first one did so far. And as you all can see, they, I'm gonna have to move to the other side of here. Where we can see the stairs are well underway with construction. So they have 4 sets of stairs under construction right here. And these are a little bit smaller than, well, yeah, just slightly smaller than the ones that they had previously. In Mega Bay 1. The ones in the first Mega Bay, the vertical members actually are in the corners instead of at the top and bottom of the stair flights. So the actual landing platforms are kind of cantilevered off the side. But yeah, so they got... Go ahead.
Yeah, there is a new elevator that was delivered recently as well. I'm not sure whereabouts that is exactly, though. It was a few days ago, I think that was delivered.
Yeah, that was before this was taken. These are elevator rails right there. So hold on, let me get another image from that side. That's probably not what I want, but I think those are the elevator rails. I don't see... Wait, is that it? No.
No, that's not it.
Yeah, top down. So
But we did see the elevator cab arrive on a truck with the rails, so it's got to be around somewhere.
We're gonna find it. Let me know if y'all see it, because my vision's been failing lately. Nah. I do not see it. Let's look at a top-down image in here. Maybe it's inside of one of these holes. Nope. So this is the hole for that elevator. And
Currently,
sorry, there's two of them technically. There's one over there.
yeah, currently swimming pools.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, I do not see it, but I will. Oh wait.
Oh, that's it, isn't it?
That's
Yeah,
it.
there it is.
That's it. Yep, it's set up. They're
Oh,
setting it up
they're
on
putting
the
it on the
outside.
outside. That is annoying. Why?
Probably so they have access to where the crews to get up and not be in the way of the crane.
Right. So they have the scaffolding platforms on top of the. That's actually kind of cool when you think about it. So there's the. Let me see if I can find a better side image of this now. Let me know what we're looking for. So yeah, the elevator will be on the outside going, and I guess in the high bay it was on the outside as well too. Mega Bay 1, it was not. They did have similar scaffolding set up on the first Mega Bay when they did this. But as you can tell, the elevator will come right up here to this edge, and then they'll be able to access this. It doesn't. I thought the scaffolding also went across here. How are they going to get to the other side? I'm guessing they just walk across this beam. That's fun.
I did wonder that.
Originally, they did it with the lifting cages, because the scaffolding's put on before they're lifted. So obviously the middle section they can't put in because it doesn't exist when it's being lifted.
Right. And you're saying the lifting cage, which that could actually be this yellow thing down here?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to call it a man basket, but people are going to yell at me for calling that. So
I called it a lifting cage.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, there's like I said, quick progress going on this. Last week,
actually, scroll back down to the ground. They're getting a lot of sheathing on the bottom.
Oh yeah, finally doing that first layer. Well, they did. This bottom corner was done before, so looks like they're finally filling that in on the bottom layer.
Yeah, they're even filling the center section in, and probably going to be heading up shortly.
Yeah, they do seem to have gone at quite an impressive speed with this new bay.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of want your guys' opinions on this. Somebody mentioned last week. We talked about these cross beams, whether or not they would stay or remove. So what I said was that the ones on this side get removed. Well, actually, from my understanding, I couldn't remember whether or not they removed these, but I'm pretty sure that on the back side they do. But on the front side, I believe the stairs can actually fit through those. So somebody messaged me to let me know that I was wrong about that, but I don't think that was the case. I think that these are permanent, and I believe these ones possibly are removed. And I don't know if they did remove them in the Mega Bay, but I'd have to go back and look again because I know they removed them on the levels where they put the platforms at. But I don't know if actually all of them are removed. You have to go back.
So if you look where the elevator pit is, it's in line with the edge of that section, which means the elevator shaft will go right up through those diagonal beams. So they would have to remove them.
Yeah, on the backside. Yep.
Yep, on both. So we got two elevator pits. Both backsides will have to have the diagonals removed. They're required for lifting, but once it's lifted, then they can get removed. Would be my call.
Yeah.
Sections just in view there, so you can probably compare it to the front.
Say that one more time, Jake.
I said you've got the staircase sections just in view up to the top of the photo there that you can compare to the gap. between the walls and the diagonal beams at the front of the Mega Bay there.
Yeah, it's tough to do this without like a top-down shot, but
Yeah.
maybe Mauricio can do a barrel roll over the top of the Mega Bay next time he's down there.
With his poor
Hey,
Cessna.
he's got an amazing top-down shot of the OLIT. All he's got to do is get his pilot to go exactly that right spot for this one.
He is the pilot.
Well, yes and no. Not when he's taking images, but yeah, he is. He flies until he gets there. So I think we should talk about the unexpected, or not unexpected. I guess this is kind of like one of those theories that's been floating around for a while on what this was actually used for. And I don't know if one of you all are able to send me a ground image of this piece, because I don't remember when we got what week we had ground images for this. But last week there was the dome outside. It's similar to. Oh, okay. Where is it? I thought they had two of them, and there was one down here. And
The other
it's
one,
gone.
yeah, that got scrapped. The other one.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So there was a ring section that had 20 ports
There
on.
was
Go ahead, Dave.
Like I say, it's the 24-hole dome section, that was outside last week, and there was a payload section with a Pez dispenser in it, also outside mid-bay last week. And
Right.
now they're both right under your cursor, and now it's all one big thing.
Yeah, everyone was, or not everyone, but there were some ideas out there that it could be that section would be used for part of the hot staging situation. So like a dome on top of the forward dome that would shield all of the electronics and stuff on the booster forward dome. But now we know that is not the case. So this is actually a testing interface. And so with all of those holes on the side of it, and again, I really need a side picture of this. Let me see if Jax can send me one. I know he has it on him.
I posted an enhanced image on LiveComms, but
Okay.
I don't have a ground shot right there. Maybe from last week.
Okay, let me swap this over.
Zach,
Yeah.
if you look in Patreon Lounge from last night, Jax posted 2 photos that are appropriate to this discussion.
Oh, all right. Let me. Do you mind posting those in live comms? And then really quick, I'm going to switch over to this image. So this is like the more enhanced version of it that you can see. So testing interface on top of a payload section here. So this is kind of what we were talking about. What the heck? Okay. What we were talking about at the beginning of the stream as far as what will eventually go on top of the nose cone jail. So this is that same jig from above, and you can kind of see the outline of the nose cone jail right here. And what was that?
What Jax is showing you is where hydraulic pistons would connect from the cage to the 4 connection points on the ring that's welded to the top of that ring with the 24 holes in it. So they can pull the top of this section sideways in different directions.
Yeah, and if we get a side shot of it, that'll we can show those holes. So basically, what we're thinking here is that in the actual, that's not what I want. On the actual nose cone jail, so this will be the next item that goes up here. It'll be on top of the platform behind here, and it should perfectly fit inside of this cage. And then there are pistons on top of the cage that'll be able to pull it in, I guess, 4 different directions. And then we believe they will possibly use the ports on the side of the. This is really hard to describe without showing it. On the side of the ring section, they should be able to strap Sorry, give me a second because I really want to get this picture. I'm going to message Jax.
While you do that, we want to give a very warm happy birthday to Wheelchair Wolf. It's his birthday today as well, so happy birthday, Wheelchair.
Is the one I
Happy
just
birthday,
threw you in
Wheelchair Wolf.
live comms good enough for you, Zach?
Is it good enough for you, Zach?
Not really, because we need to be able to see it from the ground. Jack said he's finding it for me. So while he's doing that, I will continue on. But yeah, so essentially, this is not what a lot of people were initially thinking it was, as far as being part of that hot staging situation. So yeah, that kind of answers at least one of those questions. So we don't. It could still be just a single ring section that it takes in order to do that interface that they're going to need, but we're going to have to wait and see. Right now, down here in this image, you can also see the payload bay door, which was not installed on this section, nor is it on 28. I don't know if they removed it on 29.
But they did take a payload bay door in and out of high bay this morning, but I don't think it stayed there.
Yeah, that must be this one right here. So,
Yeah.
1 second. Let me see if Jack sent that over really quick.
Which is the one that had the payload bay door welded onto it, like the whole thing was welded shut? I think it had
24, 26, 27.
Oh,
No. 24 and 25.
okay.
Yeah, and then 26 just never had a door, and 27 is fine. That's still got a operational door.
Thank you.
And then 28 had its door removed?
Right. Yeah, 28
Or
has
you can
door
see
removed. I think Jax is either about to tell us he found it or that he's not going to be able to find it. And it is Canada Day for Jax.
Say, isn't he celebrating?
He's probably celebrating, so if he's able to grab this for us, then that'll be awesome. If not, definitely understandable. It's a holiday. So, but yeah, I guess while I'm waiting for that, what else do we have? So, okay, that'll work. Thank you, Jack.
Posted.
So this will do it for us. So on the side here, you can see that there are all of these ports on it, and we initially thought that something would be coming out of this, but actually it looks like there are shaped like this for straps to go around them, so that this can be pulled down, similar to what they do on the can crusher. So that's kind of what this looks like it's going to be used for. So that makes sense that we were kind of wondering especially on the steel on the side of this, like that doesn't look like a flight article. So it answers a lot of questions for us.
It's worth mentioning that's the one that's been scrapped. There's a different one stacked on top of the payload bay that's all stainless steel.
Yeah, good point.
This was the prototype of the prototype.
Pretty much, yeah.
So moving on, what else do we have here in the ring yard that we haven't talked about? We have boosters being assembled. We haven't had the full stack on booster 12 yet.
Have you talked about the label, the hot stage loader or something?
Yeah. So one thing Jax pointed out last night, right in the center of this picture, we have a E-dome for a booster that is new, sitting there 3 in from the left, second down in the ring yard area. Just a bare dome, no ring section or anything around it. It just the E-dome just to the left of your that one. No, the upper one. The shiny one is the one they polished a long time ago. The one with the bigger hole is the actual booster common dome that just appeared.
Okay. Let me grab this ground image really quick. So this is one of the new booster forward domes, or I guess what they call it. But now we can see a sign on the bottom of this one, which do we have a clear label on this? Let me see if I can find it.
That's It's about as clear as it is, I think.
That's actually pretty legible.
Yeah, so it says hot stage load
Load head.
load head.
Yeah.
That's not legible.
I said
So-
as legible as any we've seen. And it's development, and there's 2 people that are the point of contacts.
So yeah, what you find with this probably was originally signed to Booster 11, because you'll see next where it says B11 forward, it says retain, and then yeah, they're probably going to use it for hot stage test article now.
Yeah, I wonder what that means. Like, is it just a test article to fit the interface, or if they're gonna like, statify or ship on top of it?
My guess
I
is
just highly doubt that would happen, but I would like to see it.
Yeah, my guess is just a ground test article for the interface.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a case of this forward dome section stacked on a booster aft section, and then on top of this, you'll have the actual hot staging ring, or rings, however tall it's going to be, and then you'll have a ship skirt on top of that, and then that'll probably go in the can crusher.
It's going to be another Franken thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. So, what else do we have going on in the ring yard, or should I move over to the Star Factory?
Not a vast amount. I mean, yeah, you've talked about Booster 12 still in 2 halves. And of course, Booster 9 is still just sitting in the back right corner because it can't really do anything else right now.
It's waiting for an OLM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any ring yard questions, or am I cool to start talking about the Star Factory?
Yeah, we can move on. I'll ask the questions at the end. Nothing related to the ring yard.
Okay. Well, on that note, this section of the Star Factory is proceeding pretty quickly, kind of. I would say the Mega Bay is happening a lot faster, but, well, as far as like the actual steel erection goes. So they have got about half this roof on here. There's another section right here laying on the ground. And I'm not sure how far they'll move past this point before they get this before they get this machine down here. So I'm
Yeah,
oh
I was going to say, interestingly, they still haven't completely covered that area with concrete, but I guess because of the conduit.
Well,
yeah,
given
I
the
just
amount
noticed
of
down here they finally ripped those. I was saying that they would maybe rip those vaults out of here. It looks like they finally did that.
Yeah.
So,
looking at the amount of steel on the slab, I don't think they're going to wait. I think you're going to see. Last week there were 3 columns or 3 sections of this roof and frame assembly complete. I think we're up to 8 now. I think even with the holiday, within a week, this section will be mostly framed.
yeah, I mean, one of the things that they could do is get all of this framework up here, but hold off on lift. Well, no, because then they need a bigger crane to actually lift the roof sections if they did that. Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see. I just don't know how they would lift whatever is going to go in here, if they have the roof on already. So that'll be interesting to see. But moving on from there, we have a ton of progress on the actual foundation. So y'all can see that they have 2 rows of wow, the term is slipping my mind right now, Dave.
Footings. That would be called footings.
Jesus. So they have 2 rows of the footings right here, and those are nearing completion. So I think, about have half of them poured, just under half. The others are at least formed out. And then moving down here, they're laying all this conduit down for the other section. So got a little crisscross action going on there, which is weird. And all the way, yeah.
I commented on that crisscross last night. I think that's just an artifact of their construction process. It sort of looks to me like they're working on the conduit above the ground, and they're going to drop it down in the trench that's already there shortly. That's sort of what I
It
commented.
would all
It looked
move.
strange, and then somebody sort of said, "Well, what about?" And I'm like, "Oh, maybe."
Yeah, that would make sense because there's the trench right here. It does. It almost looks like there's a trench here too, but yeah, I suppose that would make sense.
Yeah, there's something going on there. Anyway, yeah, they are making rapid progress on the subgrade improvements for this part of the next phase of construction, which we used to call phase 3 and phase 4, but I think this may all happen at once.
Agreed.
Yeah, this is very much phase 2 by the looks of it. All of that.
Yeah, it's interesting that they've started all the way down here as well too. And obviously, this is where the building will be a little bit taller for nose cone work, and so the footings are a little bit different. I'm not sure what this second these holes in the side are for, though. I was looking back.
Yeah, I think they may just be other facilities, maybe a something that's going in that corner of the building, unrelated to the footing.
Yeah, I need to go back and look at some of the Roberts Road flyovers to kind of get an idea of how they formed out that side. 'Cause it's been a while since I've seen those. But yeah, tons of work. Still nothing, or won't be able to expand in this direction yet, as far as just with this little plot right here. But it seems like they're at least working on everything up to that. Bit of an odd addition going on here because it looks like they're pouring almost like a sidewalk. It looks like, and we haven't seen any like conduit in this path. And also, this is like right at where the next row of footings should be. So
yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to be a load-bearing wall that they're putting in there. Maybe even a firewall between the two sections. One of the things you can see with the rebar there is conduit up and down, like 4 pieces of white conduit there, crossing underneath the rebar.
Right. From here and here and here.
No. Actually, look right at the white rebar in the trench. See the white lines going up and down? Yeah.
Right.
So I think they're provisioning to get underneath whatever this structure is going to be with cables of some sort, cables or pipes or something. They're putting in access areas.
Right. Yeah, I'm a little confused on this as well, though. I mean, the thing is that one thing I guess to consider is that all of these rows will have bridge cranes in these rows, so like it could maybe not require those same type of footing if they're not going to be a bridge crane in this area.
I will debate you on that. If you look at the piece they've got framed out, there's no sign of bridge crane on the section closest to the road.
What do you mean?
If you go back to the section they've got the roof on, there's a very obvious bridge crane beams on the top section. The middle section has none, and the bottom section doesn't even have any place to put brackets for beams in the columns.
Yeah, you can see it there from the side if you look down.
I was going to grab a ground image, so let me see if I can find one.
It's puzzled me a little bit because the area heading towards the press pit has a very definite bridge crane. There's some stub arms hanging out in the middle one, and then the bottom one has nothing.
So, isn't this? Well, hold on. Let's see here. Right here, isn't this the tab for mounting one of those?
Yeah, but
rails?
The lake closest to us does not have one.
Oh. Well, I suppose I can't really see that.
Yeah.
Or you mean on this side of it?
Yeah. Well, on either. Everything I've seen, this wall face does not have any bridge crane mounts on it. And actually, if you look at the this is the same confusion. If you look at the next bit, go over 2 columns to the right. There's nothing on it to hang a bridge crane on, even on the center leg.
Well, I suppose it's not unreasonable to think there's parts of the building that wouldn't need bridge cranes.
Yeah, it was really weird because it looked like some of these legs had them on one side and not on the other, but they didn't match up going down the building. So I've been
Right.
sort of watching for that, but it looks like this bay closest to us does not have much provision for a bridge crane in it, whereas obviously they really want a bridge crane in the far one because it's already got a rail up there.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Maybe they'll add those pieces on later because that's not exactly difficult to do, I suppose. Cool. Let me go back into that aerial view. So, anything else in the Star Factory you guys want to mention?
I mean, you can mention that the footings are pretty much right up to Highway 4 now, but that's about it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, yeah, you have covered it.
Yeah, so I think next week we will see almost all the footings having been dug
Yeah.
for this whole south section.
Well, at least these 2 rows.
I think even where all the conduit is, they'll be getting footings interspersed in there.
In 1 week?
Yep. Think what this was last week. They were still
Is it legal
taking
for us to bet here? Are we allowed to do that?
I don't know, but think where they were last week. They were still taking concrete from the ground fab building out of this area last week.
This is true.
In fact, speaking of which, the ground fab pizza oven door and the bridge crane are still sitting there by the parking lot.
Sure are.
I guess they're just being stored out of the way there for the time being because it's not like there's a foundation ready for the building yet.
Yeah, but next week there will be.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, let's move over and quickly go through the village area. There's not a whole lot to talk about here, but we do have a new road in place, or at least the road base for this road. So, yeah, there looks like I'm guessing we'll probably see them actually lay down the asphalt within the next week or 2.
Well, I think we're going to see 2 roads in place there. If you look, we've got erosion fence there for that one, and we've got the diagonal road running off the side of the farm. All look like they're getting ready to get road base.
Yeah, they're making some good progress back there. I feel like there isn't a ton else to mention about the. Oh, well, you know what? I missed something completely altogether, which was the actual electrical work that they have going on. So I'm going to just backtrack a little bit and we'll just cover it from this distance angle. So you can see that they've obviously finished this trench all the way through this area. All of the roads are back open. And I'm going to have to go back to the ring yard really quick to show that again. So they've also gone all the way through here, and all of that is completed. You can see all the new roads. And at the Sanchez site, I'm going to need one of these images. So they've got the trench coming all the way down to here where the 2 vaults are. And then where they went underground right here, so they actually had the horizontal drilling rig. I don't know if that's the right term for that kind of drilling rig, even though it is drilling horizontally.
Horizontal drilling rig is the official industry name for that rig.
But yeah, so they went under the road right here, and looks like all of that's completed. They've cleared up everything that was over there, so you can see where they were initially doing that work at. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure we touch on that because I did not mention it earlier. But let's go ahead and move on back to the village. So yeah, I don't think there's much else happening on this side unless you guys had something you want to mention.
Well, the two
I
water
didn't.
trucks have moved to
Yet
another
again.
spot.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well, in that case, if we let's make sure we don't have any other questions before we move over to the launch site.
Yeah, so we have, let's see, we have one question for you, Zach. Wouldn't it make sense to make a mini hot stage Pringle article before stacking a full version instead?
Yeah, I guess they usually prototype everything that way. I mean, they even like when they first created the inner stage for the ship and booster, they actually used a test article to test stacking that on top of the booster forward dome. And I mean, they do make test articles for pretty much everything, so I guess that is something we should expect to see. But as far as like what they'll do with it, that's the question. So, it could just be as simple as stacking it, make sure it fits, or they could theoretically actually static fire a ship on top of one of those, which would be awesome to see.
All right, the next question is, are they going to add a 2-story structure to the back of the new Mega Bay like the current Mega Bay has? Question from Naughty Rocket.
I would say so. So if we look at the back of it, it has space for it. They wouldn't want to do it like right away because they need to be able to get back here with the cranes and whatnot. But yeah, there is enough space for them to put one back here. The only problem with that is there isn't space for a driveway. So part of what they do in this one is they drive up here, deliver Raptors into that building, and store them in here. But as of right now, there would not really be a way for them to drive back here. As long as if it's a smaller footprint, then it's possible. But if it's the same footprint, then probably not. So I guess we'll just have to keep our eyes on that, and once it's actually complete, we'll probably be able to get a better idea. Next question.
All right, and the last question is, what do you think is the timeline for rolling out the 3 steel plates? I believe you answered it earlier.
Can you repeat that one more time?
So basically, when do you think they'll be rolling out the water-cooled steel plates, the ones that are located at Sanchez?
Yeah, I said a bit earlier in the show, probably within the next week or two. Tough to really predict a time, but yeah.
And that's it. I don't know if you want to move on to the next section or
We
go
have
on to the launch
donations.
section. All right.
I'll do them quickly. We want to thank, let's thank Michael E.D. For his $9.99 contribution. And he says, on board, choo choo. And then we have Peter S., who donated $4.99 and says thanks. And that's it. Back to you, Zach.
Oh, we had one more donation from PayPal from Malt.
Thank you.
$20 donation. Thank you so much, Malt, for the $20. And back to you, Zach.
Cool. So now we are at the launch site, specifically the suborbital side, where there is really not much happening. We had a static fire of Ship 25 this week. So that was really awesome. Matter of fact, we should show that.
How long was the static fire?
5 seconds at the most, I think, or maybe a bit less.
I don't know, but SpaceX has amazing video.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. I don't know what just went on with my internet browser. There we go. I'm going to have to actually search for this one right now because... Oh.
Well, if you want to go on, I can find the tweet from SpaceX and get it for you.
I'm sure it'll be like right on their page. Let's search through SpaceX.
Yeah, just go back 3 or 4 launches. They haven't been doing that much recently.
Yeah, these guys are way too active. So let me turn that volume down so it's not coming through my mic. But yeah, this was a really cool footage from Ship 25. And, initially I wasn't looking at it from the ground. In my opinion, it was hard to tell that there was 6 engines, but I know everybody else said that they could see it pretty easily. But from here, you can definitely see once they swap over to the RVACs. And I don't know if they actually did them in 2 separate groups, like center engines and then swap to RVACs, or if they just added the RVACs on top of the center engines. To me, it kind of looks like 2 separate things.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of the RVAC plumes just drowning out the sea level plumes. I think obviously being on the outside, they're more prominent.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's pretty interesting to look at this because you get the triangle upward facing or downward facing from the sea level Raptors, and then it swaps directions as soon as the RVACs kick in.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And I would play the sound, but it's a little aggressive here. But I would say this static fire sounded a lot more aggressive than normal. It's kind of hard to explain like the difference, but I don't know. I felt like it sounded different than normal. Which technically, these are the upgraded Raptors, right? So.
Yep.
Oh wait, no, sorry. These are just the TVC Raptors. These aren't the ones that have the upgraded thrust capability, right?
Yeah.
Those shouldn't be on 25 yet. But yeah, let me go back to the suborbital side. It looks like the pad held up pretty well.
The only comment is they have removed all the shielding from the engines, as you can see by the sea level Raptor shield on the Raptor truck, and stacked around on the ground here and over by the berm above this are all the other rings of protection.
Yeah, you might want to get a different angle of this because there's a big pile right behind 25. That's it.
Ripped down.
Yeah, see, to me, that looks like they're actually getting rid of that shielding, the way they've just piled it in one big pile there. Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that. I wonder if they're swapping it, like if they changed the.
There's 2 pallets for Raptors as well there. The 2 black things. I'm pretty sure those are the pallets. So we may actually be seeing Raptors coming off.
Are those? I thought the Raptors had the swivel caster assemblies on their pallets.
True. But yeah, if you zoom in though, I think you can see attachment points on top of those little black squares. So yeah, they just haven't got the those turnbuckles attached yet.
Yeah, this kind of looks like a trash pile almost.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It didn't look particularly clever.
Yeah, it's interesting the way they kind of just. So the way it's all just sitting down here, but I don't know. Hopefully it's not bad news for 25, but more than likely, I'm guessing they may just want to get up there and do some checks on all the engines, which probably not easy to do with all the shielding on there, or impossible.
Or they got the static fire done, and now they've got the next generation of shielding ready to go hidden away in a tent somewhere they're going to bring over.
It's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah. So moving on from that, we what else we got? So I guess I'll continue talking about that electrical work really quick. So I'm a little confused on this because over this last week, it seems like they added a 3rd trench down here, but I'm not sure if that's what really happened. But they do have these vaults in here that they ran the conduit to. I think they've got wire coming into this one. still haven't ran the rest to these two vaults, but then they split into split back into, or merge back into a single path and go all the way to the orbital tank farm, which I'm going to show really quick.
No, they go all the way to Rover 2 camera.
Well, past Rover 2. So,
well, but at Rover 2, there's a set of vaults.
Yeah, true. So let me go there. So there's a set of vaults right here, which is interesting because it almost suggests that they're going to go across the street here, but I can't really think of why they would throw vaults here if they weren't going to go across the street.
I do like how well they protected Rover 2 there.
Yeah, they got nice little barriers around it.
Allegedly, Dave. Allegedly.
Hey, it's got signs on it that say
Vix.
Lab Padre Media.
And Vix,
And
too.
Vix.
That'd actually be cool if we could read her name from here, but yeah, so continuing back over to that other side, where was that image? This one. So they've run it all the way to the corner over here and have actually done some more directional drilling under the highway, and I'm going to need a better angle for that. Maybe this will do it? No. This one. So you can see that there's a right here is where they did where the drilling rig was set up, and they went under the ground, under the highway right here, and now there's a bunch of conduit down there, and so this will connect to. Wait, weren't there used to be two transformers right here?
Yes.
Didn't there used to be a generator there as well? A big generator.
Well, the generator used to sit right here, but I thought there was transformers down here. So these are the vaults. I think there's 3 vaults down here. Wait, okay, 1, 2, 3. So these will be turning into those vaults right here, and then the question is if they need to bring in additional transformers or if these ones were ever being used in the first place. So, they will have to step down the voltage before it enters the bunker or the comms bunker. So yeah, they're getting close to actually finishing all that, but they'll still have to run all the wire in these sections. But yeah, making a ton of progress, but into the line right here. Going back to the Suborbital farm. What else did we have down here?
We have a methane delivery.
Yeah, got some meth.
Oh boy.
What else do we got down here?
two frac tanks waiting.
There's actually 4 of these. So there's
two here and 2 over by the Deluge area.
Yeah, which is very curious. Not really sure why these are here, but we'll touch on that again when we get back to that side, the other side of the launch launch site. But let's go ahead and talk about the orbital tank farm really quick, because there is a little bit more groundwork that has been completed for the future storage tanks. So not really that much. Last week they only had it, I think, excavated right to about here. And you can see they've almost made their way all the way down to the end over there. They still haven't started on this side yet. But there was another tank delivered. And I didn't realize this until this morning, but it is smaller than the other ones, which is annoying to me for some reason. I don't know why. It just bothers me that there's 3 separate sizes of tanks in here. But that is almost a sign of.
It's not even level with the fronts of the other tanks either.
No. Yeah.
Well, and it's also
OCD.
got different plumbing.
Let's look at it from this side.
If you look at it from the back side, if you get 90 degrees to this, where you're looking at the end of the tank, the OLM end of the tank, note that the vent lines and everything are in very different orientations on the old tanks and the new tank.
Yeah, I'm guessing there was just no more of these available, so they got a similarly sized one from a different vendor or something like that. But it is slightly shorter. Really odd that they didn't line that up, at least on one side.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't look so short if they lined it up properly down that end.
Yeah, agreed. But again, so the foundation of this was nowhere near as like crazy as this right here. So they didn't do any real groundwork there. They just poured a pedestal. So still very curious why they've done this in these locations for the remaining tanks that we're expecting to see here. So once again, we're going to have to keep our eyes out on that. They have started digging a trench down here, so they cut out the concrete. It almost looks like they poured some concrete as well too, or maybe they have some sort of plate on top of it. I don't get what's going on here. They may have actually poured.
There's a concrete saw right there. I think that might be a shoulder or something along the side of it.
Well, this looks like they cut it, broke it all out, and then laid conduit and already covered it again.
But those are two concrete saws that are sitting there on top of that line.
Right here?
Right above here. Those two things are both those are diamond
Oh, I can
saws.
see this one. This one doesn't look like one, but yeah.
It's a big one and a smaller one.
Interesting. Yeah, not too sure what that is, but yeah, more likely, I'm guessing there's probably conduit down there right now, unless they're still cutting it. So, kind of weird.
Well, and then the other thing is, you can see they're starting to lay the rebar out to get ready to make a rebar mat around all these pile cap or pile tops. And
Yeah, they don't.
They have not cut the concrete off the last couple of piles, so they're working on that as they're unburying them.
Yeah, they don't seem to be doing much with the other trench just yet, though. They seem to be sitting there waiting.
I think as soon as they finish this one, they'll just move the same guys that are cutting the tops off the piles over there and start the second row.
Yeah. Moving on to the other side of the tank farm, we mentioned last week that they had diverted this vent, and it looks like it. I always get my hopes up that they'll actually use the waste nitrogen for something, but no. Dave wins again. So it looks like they've just got a new vent that it essentially was over here, and they relocated it here. So I don't know if it was just about getting more support around it, or if
it looks like they added all that valving, so it looks like they may want to be able to change it. Before it was just a direct vent. Now it looks like it's more like the methane kettle boilers, where they may want to close it in and keep some pressure on the collection tank nitrogen side, maybe to raise the temperature a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
Does seem to be some new pipe work coming out of that concrete vault as well. On the right there.
Where?
Go to the left of that white van. It's coming out of the ground.
This?
Yeah, I see it. Go a bit more to the left.
Here.
No, to the left a bit more. The new silver pipe work coming out of the ground there.
Are you talking about
down
this?
a bit? Yeah, down a bit. I'm guessing that's probably always been there, is it?
Yeah, this has always been here.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's also another valve actuator laying on the ground by the pope thing. Yeah. So they're definitely adding more control to that vent line. There's like 4 valves there added to it.
So yeah, we also at the front of the tank farm, they're still doing some work with these pipes down here. No idea what they're doing. But yeah, I'm still hoping that we get that 4th methane tank in here soon. Or not tank, sorry, pump down here. But moving over to the front side, let me try and get a different image.
If they put in that 4th one, or when they put in that 4th one, will that be will we finally see all of them filled then? Because we haven't seen it all done ever, I don't think.
Yeah.
I
Guessing they
the-
would also need to add the kettle boilers when they do that. But yeah, I mean, 3 is the most we've seen them use so far.
I mean, and yeah, plus this could all actually change quite a lot when they go to put more tanks in. They might increase the capacity quite a bit. So yeah, they may. I don't know how possible that is to actually add space for another pump.
Yeah, they're kind of blocked in.
Well, only until they get rid of the vertical tanks, then they got lots of room.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They got all that room over there at
I
some
thought
point.
they weren't getting rid of the vertical tanks.
Well, they are, but not yet.
Short term, no. Long term, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long project, changing everything over.
And keeping the site working.
Exactly.
Just scrolling through here to make sure I didn't miss anything. I think we
get most of it. Yep.
need to talk about the launch mount. So let's do that.
You're teasing us because we can see glimpses of it as you went by.
Do you want to do the launch mount or do you want to do Deluge first?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. So down on this side, I actually want to see the front side of this because that'll be. So we can see that they've made some more progress getting the high pressure gas manifold set up. So they've now run that to these 2 tanks over here. And they have space to add additional pipework for the 3rd tank whenever that arrives. But what else do we got? So Dave, I was kind of wondering on these. I can't tell if this is.
I think they're just T-vents, like we have everywhere else.
I noticed there's T-vents in between the valves as well. Like it's sort of like halfway along the pipework. So yeah, and this is the same with the other ones as well.
Yeah, I think there's this, because you've got so much high pressure tankage. Being able to vent this thing down post launch is going to be a real exciting moment when all these valves open and all this high pressure gas goes away. And the reason for the T-vent is just to not have a jet of gas come out, but to disrupt the flow.
That makes sense.
So yeah, basically got.
Yeah, there's T-vents all over the place. They did replace the manifold coming off the high pressure tanks. The white, under the blue canopy there, that was removed and it was replaced this week because it was laying sort of askew last week's picture.
Yeah, and it still doesn't look connected. If you look very carefully, you can just see the flanges sticking out the sides.
Well, if you see where the guys are standing to the left of the tent, you can see the 2 flanges are about a foot apart that need to get sucked together where the guy is standing there.
Yeah, I see it.
But I think they redid that pipe for whatever reason because it was removed at one point last week.
Yeah, one thing they also did down here, they poured a few CFA piles down here. It's really tough to see them. I think there's 1, 2. There's probably more in here that we're not able to see. Let me get this image. I think maybe this is a 3rd one down here. Really tough to see them. But yeah, they came and drilled some more piles down here, so that's going to be curious what they end up using that for. I was hoping we'd be able to see it a little bit more, but there's not. It's really tough with the dirt that they have down here to actually tell where those are at. But beyond that, go ahead.
There's still, all those new gas cylinders, they've still got to go somewhere. The big piles of them there.
Mm-hmm.
And
then we have these pipes. Yeah,
black pipe.
I want to show that from a different angle.
There's 2 pipes like that. We haven't got to it yet, but there's another one. One over by the OLM.
Launch mount. Yeah, there's one by the OLM, but very different. It's similar but different.
Yeah, so this one has another T coming off it on 2 of these. This is really weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, are those outlets or are they going to connect to other pipework?
Your bet is as good as mine, and I have no clue.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why in my episode from yesterday, I only barely touched the surface on a lot of this stuff because it's very clear that there's a lot more going on here that's still not completed yet. So,
Yeah, so if we slide over to the right a little bit, to the weir pipes, they got their security blocks on the tank farm end, and so those are getting closer.
Yeah, those pipes aren't going to be moving anywhere.
And they got their vents at the siphon breaks at the top both installed. And there's a little bit more of that small piping going down in the trench than there was last week. And you can see there's another piece of small pipe sitting on some pipe stands there being worked on the pad. And here's our other 2 frac tanks waiting for water.
There's they've started cutting the ports into the bottoms of the 2 big tanks as well, but you need ground photo to see that.
And we've got the 2 saddles for the remaining tank that's missing.
any ideas what the frag tanks might be for?
The only thing I can think of is water storage before they fill the tanks.
Yeah, I've heard speculation they might use them to try and reclaim a lot of water from the testing of that system, but I'm not sure how true or not that's going to be.
Here's the other 3-pronged pipe laying on a trailer. And sitting right above it in the vault are the new flanged T's that are off the ends of the pipes coming over from the weir pipes. They have flanges on the top that look an awful lot like the flange on these weird 3-prong pipes, but we are not positive of that.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it would make sense with having 2 of these. You would need 2 of these, but
So my
I wonder if
take
that's
on
like
it is,
I was going to say overflow prevention. I meant pressure relief, like once they turn the system off. But I mean, your pressure would the remaining pressure would just come out of the plates, so that's kind of weird.
my take on it is they were just some kind of inspection hatches, something as simple as that.
So at this point, the next thing we're waiting for is everything to the right of this vault to get dug out and for our Y and the various other big pieces of pipe to get put in the ground.
Yeah, and moving on to the launch mount, y'all can see that, well, it's actually tough to see because they do have tarps over everything, but they did pour the entire first level. So you can, I guess the only concrete you can actually see is this sliver right here, and I'm not even 100% sure if that's what we're seeing. But they
Looks
do
like
have...
looks like a little bridge to me or something, or a little platform.
Could be. Yeah. I mean, it looks like the tarp's folded back right here, so I think that may be exposed concrete, but tough to tell. But the reason why they have this covered is kind of due to just the temperature out here, right, Dave? So like they want to.
You want to keep the concrete moist, and you don't want the water all to evaporate in the 100-degree temperatures they're currently experiencing.
Yeah. Do you think they're actually spraying these down? Like spraying the surface down?
I don't know. With them tarped, it's hard to say. But if you look to the behind the booster QD hood, there's some steel plates laying on the ground that we were sort of talking about earlier.
They're not the ones that we were talking about earlier are over by the berm.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different places we have plates hanging around, and there's the other set.
Are you talking about these?
No,
Nope,
by the
to
blue,
the left.
by the
You go to
blue,
the left.
by the blue,
Oh,
by
right
the
here.
blue, by the blue canopy. Yep.
Let me see if I got
And
it.
there's a more direct straight down shot, and they do look pretty similar sizes, all three of them.
This kind of looks just like a solid plate.
It's a sandwich.
And we do know that there was. Go ahead, Dave.
Now, this photo is already out of date, I believe, thanks to some CSI agents last night. I suspect this rebar we're seeing in the slab here is no longer visible. 10 cement trucks delivered to this area between about 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, I imagine when they bring the plates in, they may need to get the crane right here. So that's good to get this pad down here first, because there's really no way for unless I don't know if there's concrete under this yet. I think it actually may be concrete already. Because
there was a pumper truck and there was a pumper truck and 10 loads of concrete delivered early this morning.
Yeah, and looking at this side, here's another thing that we weren't able to see until the flyover. So when Ryan was trying to put together this the layout of the embed plates, we weren't 100% confident on how it would be arranged, and we actually got it completely backwards. So the ones on the other side don't have this beam or this plate going across the center right there. So this actually makes way more sense than what we originally were thinking, because the plates that don't have manifolds attached to them, you'll actually be able to weld the front side of it, but the other ones you wouldn't really even be able to weld in that position because the manifold is in the way. So this makes a lot more sense. But we also kind of predicted how much concrete would be required for the remaining pour, but also backtracking on those predictions because they have increased the size of this area. So now that they've laid all the rebar down here, I have a feeling that, I just don't think that they're going to stop right here, because you can see the boundary layer for the actual foundation. I think they may actually do all of this at once.
Yeah, there's like 3 different structures here as you work your way from the inside to the outside with different rebar methods.
Yeah, this is a massive amount of concrete, because this used to be a flat, or right here is just a flat pad right here, but in this area it's actually sloping down. So it's definitely really thick as it's and it kind of tapers off as you get further out.
I just noticed the forms in the ground there as well. There's 2 big silver colored forms. You come back a little bit. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there's some right here, and then there's another layer of it right here.
And then we have the plywood and rebar cap over the trench.
Yeah, so they did pour the bottom layer of this, which is at the same height as what's over here. So I feel like you can actually see the concrete on the bottom down here. And so they're actually pouring the cap over this instead of putting the preformed lids on top of these culverts.
Well, you can see the preformed lid right there by your cursor from the old installation.
Right here, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they've redone a lot of the pipework down here, which is interesting. So I'm actually just seeing this for the first time. They have 2 additional pipes coming up from the backside over here, which I believe were already
that a water pipe?
Yeah, these were, because there was a water pipe that ran along here. I think they're still missing one. So these are actually outside. What was that?
Yeah, what I'm not seeing is any engine chill collection pipework coming out and going over to where the pit is. Are they done with that now?
The thing about that, I would say, is they haven't finished this area right here. So, even though they're about to cover this up, this was still open, so they could still be adding that on.
Yeah.
or hopefully it's gone. So that would be nice to see. My original thought was that they would maybe send it back to the tank farm. But again, I'm going to have to go back and look through these images to see exactly how many of these pipes were previously down here, because I thought there was only one, but there may actually be two. And like I said, missing a water pipe.
I'm pretty sure there were two, and they were installed in two separate operations, a month or more apart. I can't remember what they were, but they ran one out along the fence line, and then they came back and ran another one later.
Yeah, there was two of them down here, but again, one of them was water, and neither of them were stainless steel pipes. So that's kind of, or sorry, the water ones were not stainless; they were just like black steel pipes, but painted gray or painted green. So I'm gonna have to do some investigation on that from a different angle and see if I can figure that out.
Well, looking where these connect, I think one of them might be the water pipe. I think that they have just changed from the green pipe to whatever they're using here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lot thinner though.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there because I was just like sitting there trying to imagine what this used to look like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any opinions on that. I'm gonna have to go back and look instead of sit here and guess. But yeah, well, I guess we can probably revisit that again next week once we know for sure. But yeah, Jake, you're right. I don't see that Raptor Chill line down here, but
yeah,
that could be a last minute addition, or hopefully it's gone. They haven't actually removed anything down here yet. I was kind of expecting that they would do that. I mean, I guess there's no reason to actually remove it. You just stop using it. It's like an abandoned underground pipe. But yeah, so this will actually be more than just one more pour. So like we do have the entire central pad, one layer out here, another one over here, and then they're definitely going to do something on the backside over here. So there'll be another final one later. So we got a lot more to go. I think Elon's estimate of what he said 6 weeks, about a week ago, sounds more reasonable now. I guess that really depends how fast the next processes go.
It's all coming together pretty nicely now, I'd say.
And I think we touched on this last week, but I think we have most of the booster clamps installed on the clamp arms now with protective hoods on them.
Yeah, definitely got the clamps on there. I don't see any hoods on them, but
last week it looked like they were black protection over them.
Right.
Yeah, there's another little something I noticed as well. If you look at the plates on top of the launch string, it looks like they might be cleaning them out or getting rid of the welds in the hulls. So the protective plates on top. Yeah, see those have become more prominent recently.
I think it's possible that they were cleaning these because they need to replace two of these. So I think that may be a shadow right here, but they're definitely going to cut this one out here soon because we see a replacement for that down here. So there's at least one replacement plate right there. So they could be just cleaning it so that they could later cut it, but I'm not sure. We believe these are actually plug welds, so I don't know how they could remove them. I don't think you could really remove it. You could probably paint over it or something like that, but you couldn't actually remove it.
You drill them out, or is that too much of a task, really?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you're so part of the reason these are here, we believe, is because they needed to get underneath it to actually weld it down to the well, it's actually confusing because we don't believe. I personally don't believe there's vertical supports on this. So, but with the actual water cooled steel plates, that's kind of the reason why they did that, because there's vertical supports going across. They needed to actually get down there to weld it down to the bottom, or sorry, attach it to that vertical member. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of difficult to say for sure on this. the only reason I could think of pulling them out is if they were converting this to the actual like a water cooled system for the top of the launch mount, like Elon suggested they may do in the future. But I don't know. I feel like we're a ways away from that, and they probably would have already started that by now if that was part of the plan.
Yeah, this does seem to be the temporary thing, just burn plates on top until they can get that jacket installed.
Yeah. In other news, we gotta also mention that they have removed some of this QD. So, well, more than just removed. The two, I don't know what you want to call them.
Work platforms is what I call them.
Yeah, the work platforms were actually removed. So I think they're attached to one of them right here in this image. So it took them a while to get this off. I don't. Did they remove the far one? I think they removed the close one.
Not. Yeah,
No,
just
they've
that
only-
one.
Yeah, they've removed one. The other one is still there, but there's some other stuff happening up there because they just lifted the ship QD in there today.
Yeah, I was gonna grab some ground images really quick so we can show this a little better. So first, they installed this additional ladder up here. I'm assuming this is what the actual QD is resting on now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so as of this morning, they lifted up the replacement umbilical for the ship up to here, and I'm guessing the QD will probably be like right in this area as it's in its stowing position. But yeah, after they got this platform up there, I'm assuming that was enough to allow them to remove this because they don't. I mean, it's kind of weird because this is much further away. Sorry, this is much closer to the ship than what this platform gets you to. So yeah, I mean, the way they removed this, there was a lot of cutting involved to actually get all of this off here. It's not like they could just remove bolts and pull it off. So they actually had to cut this free. It took them quite a while to get that down, but I'm guessing this week we'll probably see them remove this one. So yeah, this is nowhere near as cool as it used to be when the claw was on. But we've kind of been expecting them to do something with this, like because they don't have any way of automatically retracting or extending it. But now they just don't have it at all.
Well, maybe they'll come up with a better one and make it so it actually can be motorized instead of having somebody with a come along.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, would be cool to see a replacement for this. I mean, we haven't really seen any framework for that, so I feel like they wouldn't really be able to surprise us with it. We'd probably see something already, but you know, I guess we'll keep our eyes out for it. But the reason they're doing this has to do with that whole hot staging thing. So, because the ship will be sitting on top of an adapter, essentially, it's going to be raised up at least 1 to 2 ring sections higher than what it was. So, this is basically their retrofit to this system in order to allow it to interface with where the new QD is going to be out on the ship, or not the new QD, but the new height of the QD. Let's see. We have some more ground images that we can go through. Really tough to see much on here right now, though, because of all of the stuff in the way.
Well, we got one more thing to talk about. We have some new stairwells on the backside of the OLIT.
Oh, yeah, of course. Let's go ahead and mention that. Give me 1 second. Try and find a image on the front side.
That's it?
Yeah, that'll show it pretty well. So actually, let me get around it a little more. Super odd. So yeah, they installed this new staircase a few weeks ago, and now they have a zigzagging walkway that gets into the building right here.
Yeah, it looks kind of funky, but I guess it works.
Okay. And then they also have the stairway on this side of the tower.
And then they've got 4 more sections sitting over by the berm ready to go up.
Do you think they'll go all the way to the top?
There's not enough sections right now, but it's
my guess
possible.
is their goal, I don't know about the top, but I certainly think they want to get up to the ship QD level. So they got a ways to go.
I should imagine eventually they will have it going all the way to the top. This is a second way of egressing from the tower.
So when the elevator counterweight fails, the next time they have a way to do it without a windmill lift.
You're funny, Dave.
Yeah.
Hey. We learned from our mistakes. We're SpaceX. What can I say?
Agreed. So hopefully they won't have it again.
That's why the stairwell's going in.
Well, one way to prevent what happened, in my opinion, beyond just regular maintenance, would be to install the rest of the cladding on the tower, because that would reduce the amount of corrosive air that is reaching the mechanisms of that lift. So with all of the salt water in the air, things get rusted out here pretty quickly. So definitely a good idea, in my opinion, just for that reason alone, to put the cladding on the tower. But again, it would probably get pretty hot in there if they did that. So there are some limitations with being able to do that. But we have about 10 minutes left in the show, so I want to make sure that we touch on some questions, because I know there's got to be some. So, Indy, I'll let you take it away.
I'll start with the donations, if that's okay, and then I'll hand it over to Mauricio. I'll take your silence to mean yes. First, we want to thank Perpetual Nerd, who donated $10 and says, Happy early Independence Day. Happy 4th of July to everybody. It's coming up here on Tuesday. Very excited. Woo! I wish we had Monday off, though. But anyways, I'm not complaining. John Dopker donated $10 and says, Love the views of the OLM repairs. Victoria and I are currently upgrading our launch site in a similar fashion. Thanks again. Rocket Prophet donated $10 and says, For Victoria's launch site upgrade. Woohoo! Methane Man donated $19.99 and says, First time watching, really enjoying. So glad you could join us. So glad you're enjoying. Drew Nar donated $10 Canadian and says, Thanks for the great pics. And then he has a question. He or she, sorry. And I will ask that question in just a second. Jacqueline came in with 11 euros and she apologizes for being late. And Jacqueline, no apologies needed. We're just glad you could join us and glad you could make it. John Dopker, again, donated 5 memberships to 5 lucky people in the chat who each, received a 1-month free membership to RGV Aerial. So they will have access to all of the ground photos and aerial photos that Mauricio takes each week. So 4 weeks of greatness. And then you can join us in Discord for the show and tells. The day that Mauricio takes the photographs, he actually goes through them with all of us who are subscribers, paid subscribers, and we can go through the photos together and everybody's allowed to talk. We just want to keep it orderly and we discuss everything we see and have wild conversations. It's a lot of fun. Rocket Prophet also donated 5 memberships, so another 5 people, lucky recipients. Brent Dean donated $20 Canadian and he apologizes for the stinky smoke from Canada. That thing is still happening, huh? And then last but not least, we have James L. donating $10 and says, Happy 4th of July, everyone. And I think that's it for all of the donations for right now.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for the donations and the support. We got the questions coming up here. The first one's from Peter. Why is there an underground tank by the Deluge system?
So this is a CO2 tank, and it's kind of in the way of things. But we're not 100% sure yet on what that CO2 system is. We haven't really taken the time to figure that out. But it basically supplies CO2 to somewhere in the tower and also in the launch mount. If I had to guess, what I would use CO2 for in here would be, there's a control room in underneath this level, so there's like a concrete floor that's right here, and then it's an L-shaped room essentially underneath that. So there's more than likely a bunch of computers and whatnot, like all of their control systems for both the tower and potentially the launch mount as well inside of the tower. So with having a big, huge server room in here, you also have the problem where you're, occasionally dumping a lot of methane out of the booster. So with a methane-rich environment, I think it would be a good idea to purge that control room with CO2 or nitrogen. But in this case, there's a CO2 tank there, so if I had to guess, that's what I would use it for. The other place where you might need that is actually inside of the launch mount itself. And I don't know if we did actually see that there was like CO2 related pipework on the side of the launch mount, but we didn't confirm whether or not the pipework actually went there. But yeah, that's the only possibility that I can think of at the moment for why this is here.
All right, the next question is from Walter Brown. Are the extra T valves for sequential tank emptying? Empty one tank first, then another, etc.
No. So right now they don't have valves on the top of these to control which tanks they're going in. So it looks like it's always going in all 4 tanks at the same time. And on the bottom of the tanks, there is also no valves connecting it to the manifold. So yeah, they'll be coming out of all 4 at the same time in both of these tanks, or 3 of them whenever the next one arrives.
All right. The next question's from Flawed Perspective. Why multi-layer pour over at the pad?
Because it's 4 meters deep. So this first layer is 1.85 meters deep. And the second one is 2.2 meters deep, roughly. So it would be kind of difficult to do both of them at the same time unless they already had the formwork in place for the second level, which it appears they do now, but they didn't have it before. So even with that formwork there, it still probably wouldn't have been a good idea to pour both levels, because then your pressure from up here could push it out from down below, theoretically. So yeah, it had to be broken into two different jobs.
Something else to think about is, especially on the side that's tarped here in this picture, because we're going to have all of the piping coming in and the manifolds and the plate valves and all that stuff, plate parts, they had to pour the base layer that the pipes are going to sit on as a slab, so that they could form the bottom of the tunnel that the pipes are going to be in, basically. Then they can put the forms on top of that and the rebar and build up for the structure that the pipes are going to need to be supported on this side. Otherwise, you would have had to have all the pipes in place and pour the concrete around them.
All right, the next question is from Naughty Rocket. Do you expect them to place work stands under the OLEM and lower the sandwich onto those? Then they can weld the remaining parts on top and the bottom and lower the whole sandwich in one piece?
Well, we showed at the beginning of the show kind of what that's going to look like. I closed out of that video, but if you watch my latest episode, we kind of showed an idea of what that will look like. So after this ends, if you guys haven't seen it already, I would check out the latest CSI Starbase video and kind of have a good render or animation from Ryan that kind of shows how they'll lower that in there. But the work platform will more than likely not be involved in that because it'll be in the way of the crane. So yeah, there'll be a crane lifting it through the center of the table.
All right, so the next question is from Ian Tibbetts. With the new height of the SQD, which ships will be scrapped and which will likely be the first to have the hot stage?
Well, the hot staging is a booster related thing, so it's a adapter that goes onto the booster, and we believe that the first booster with that will be booster 9, since they're already making these changes now. So no ships will be scrapped and no boosters will be scrapped.
All right, and I think that's all for the questions. There is another question, but Indian Star, do you want to take over that question, or that we got a couple new donations that you might want to go over?
Sure. I got the one earlier from something L. John L. But I also will read this one. Kamado donated $9.99 and asks, do you think they will replace the vertical tanks in the OTF with a spherical LOX tank after they install the hot dog tanks on the former landing pad?
No. Yeah, I don't think so. I think if there is an additional tank added, like a large single tank, then it'll probably go back here, which is where the we believe there could be an additional a pad for a large, possibly LOX tank in the future. So you want to try and protect them as well as you can. So like using the tower for protection in this case. If you put it right here. So yeah, I don't think, I mean, it's possible, but it'll be interesting to see what they end up using that tank farm space for if they actually remove these.
Cool. And it was actually James L. who donated just before Kamado, and he donated $10 and says, Happy 4th of July, everyone.
I want to add on to this a little bit. So I feel like it may be more expensive to remove these than it's worth, and they may just stop using them but leave them there because they're going to have to suck out all of the perlite, the expanded perlite from the inside of those tanks, and that's a lot. So I have a feeling that instead of vacuuming out the inside of the tanks, they're probably maybe just leave them there and not use them.
Are there not 2 tanks without perlite, though, that are just the cover?
Yeah, the 2 water tanks.
And then the
3.
one with the holes in it?
3.
And then the one with the hole in it that we saw smoke puffing out of that one time?
That was this tank, and they repaired it.
That's the one with the staples on it? Looks like it had surgery?
This one, the water tank, was the one that had surgery.
Oh, okay. I was thinking because the perlite and the one that was smoking, that would pretty much be gone, wouldn't it? More or less. Null.
It's a lot of perlite. And it was pretty high up on the tank. I don't think that very much leaked out of there, if any.
Okay.
Cool. Did we have any more questions that we haven't touched on? Or was that the last one?
That was the last question. We can maybe wrap it up. We're already at the top of the hour, so who wants to go
Awesome.
first?
Well, I guess I will go ahead and sign myself off in that case. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. I'm glad I didn't have a huge headache this time, so felt like a better show, at least on my side. Well, that sounded weird. Better for me. But yeah, thank you all, and I guess I will see you all next week and pass this off to Dave or Jake.
I'll take it, and I would like to thank everybody for another exciting RGV Weekly review. This has been a very busy week, and I think the next week or two are going to continue in the same trend. And with that, I will pass it to Jake.
Well, thanks once again, everyone. It's been fun taking part in this, and it's also been pretty fun discussing all these photos along with all of you in the audience. And I hope to see you all again for the next live stream. And with that, I'll pass it off to Indy.
Mauricio, you're going to do the last line then. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Be sure to join us next week. Hit that like button if you enjoyed what you hear and the bell icon so that you get notified whenever we release something. The gents are actually working really, really hard and putting out videos as well that come shortly after these sessions, these live streams. So I encourage you all to take a look. We do shorts as well. There's a lot to see. There's a lot to talk about. So join us. Mauricio?
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for the donations, the likes. Share the video with somebody else. We've got quite a few viewership, more than usual. 1,500 tops. It tapped out at about 1,500.
Woohoo!
And yes, stay tuned for our short version video coming out right after this episode. It's just a quick recap. No, but the 20-minute deep analysis is going to be coming out either Monday or Tuesday. So, but other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you so much. I don't know the ending.
I got you. I got you.
You got it.
I got you. Main engine cut off. Stage separation confirmed. Love you. Bye.